All right, I left my microphone upstairs by the table where we keep all the leashes and stuff, because I left it on. I took the puppy for a walk. I guess we gotta put the ghost detector, the EMF detector, back together, for as useless as it is, because it's like a 433 megahertz detector, RF detector. I don't know what good that is. I don't need an electronic magnet detector. But I should probably put it all back together and just toss it somewhere. Should probably do that. I was considering if I had time to take the amplifier out of my car. Because currently, the nav system, no, well, I don't have a nav system. The radio unit turns on, seems to function perfectly, except that there's just no sound. And apparently people have cited that unit as going bad due to moisture, and considering that it is in the rear of the car, along with the tail light that went bad because of moisture, I'm wondering if maybe that mine went bad because of moisture. Because I think I tried all the fuses. I'll try them again, I guess, before I actually take the head unit, or not, before I actually take the amp unit out of the back. But apparently they can go bad, and I guess that extra little jump in voltage probably didn't do it any favors, to be fair. So I'll probably need to get that out. What's going on here? Where's my heat? Hello? I'm melting my table. Trying to get the little lead wire out of here that I put on. Give me this. Give it back. What's wrong with you? Not even, it's like barely even a big trace. There we go. That got it. Had to go in from the other side. All right, so that can go away. All just part of cleaning up. I just want my car to like function fully for like a day, you know? I've had no radio in the car. ABS is still shutting off. And I think the reason behind it is, once more, that little compressor pump, the one that we looked at. I don't know how mine would have seized, but apparently it must have, because I'm getting the exact same, you know, right when I hit 30 miles an hour, I run into the air. What the car tries to do is it energizes that pump, and then it looks at the pressure on its little pressure sensor, and that's how it knows that ABS is good and ready to go. And I think what it's doing is trying to turn on that pump, and something's not happening. Now that I believe I've got all the air out of it. God, it just doesn't end. I assume that eventually I'm going to get on top of these problems and things will go well once again, but for now I'm very frustrated with my car. It's been non-stop. What I have to do is I gotta plug the computer into it. I gotta plug the computer into it and let it tell me what's wrong. I think I'm gonna have to poop in the middle of the stream today. That's not gonna be good. That's not gonna be good. All right, ghost detector. Let's get that out of here. This thing is gonna be such an enormous pain in the butt to work on today, because it's just big and heavy. But I want to look at the circuit boards in it. I want to look at how it ticks, what it does, because I think that'll be fun. Just because, simply, I think it'll be fun. It'll be a fun Saturday. What's up, yonkers? Everybody's busy. It's New Year's Day, I guess. People party all day New Year's Day? I forget. I haven't been cool in so long. Not one of the cool kids. Happy soon to be New Year's. Yeah, some of y'all are 6 hours ahead. About 6 p.m. Everybody's probably going to go party. Except Brabaz, he went live. Not busy, you just feel terrible. Oh no. Did you get sick? I thought I got sick, but it turns out I had a very sugary drink last night. So I needed about 1 billion units of insulin to bring it back down. The most satisfying multimeter put away ever. Ever. Ever, ever. Sick and got bad news? Oh no. That's not good, man. That is not good. Should I be kind and put the battery wires back on? Yeah, I guess I will. I guess I'll be kind. To any future endeavors involving silly 433 megahertz detectors. I like this song. Pew. Wow, that is a dirty, dirty terminal. Gross. Alright, UPS is dangerous. Oh, no more dangerous than any of the other stuff we work on here. You're not wrong, but, you know, they say don't open unless you're an expert. Well, I'm an expert. Fluke rocks like they designed their equipment like they were going to use it for themselves. So, yeah, I guess. The thing that's so good about Fluke is that it will just always work. Right? You can throw it down a flight of stairs and it'll be perfectly fine. That's really why I'm so gung-ho about them. Is just the reliability of a piece of equipment. It makes a difference. Well, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. They're actually designed to make lethal amounts of current while not plugged in. So they are inherently pretty dangerous. You can be an expert in two things. That's legal. They can't arrest you for that. If they're responsible, any of the capacitors that are inside of this thing should, and I use a very strong should, have bleed resistors on them, which would render them safe fairly quickly after powering down. But like most things around here, shouldn't try it at home. You should have enough sense to know when to and not to try things. I saw a streamer take apart a UPS is not a prerequisite to do it yourself. It should never be part of your thought process. What meme? What meme? Why'd you nice meme me? I didn't know I was meme. Oh my god, this thing just exploded back all over my fucking... Oh, that's that Arthur meme, right? I saw a streamer take apart one of these. Give me a screwdriver. And a hammer. Do you think they used the Pope hammer to like hang a picture? You know the Pope hammer, the one that I didn't know existed until today. They have a hammer for when the Pope dies. They hit the Pope in the head with the hammer to make sure that they're dead. It's apparently part of the whole deal. I want to be important enough that somebody takes a hammer to my head when I'm dead, just to make sure. Rule out any possibilities. I have received a paycheck as an electrical engineer, yes. Those are about as heavy as the qualifications get around here. My name is signed off on architectural documents too, for power systems leading into buildings, as well as on technical reports and schematics that were rendered in service to the United States government. So yeah, I am a professional. Yeah, is it a gold hammer? That's kind of wild. So do you think they ever like hung a picture with that? They were like, man, I really want to put up this portrait I gotta hang a mirror, and all I have in reach is the Pope hammer. Do I hang the picture with the Pope hammer or not? I mean, it's just a hammer, right? There's nothing that special about it. It might be an expensive hammer, but it's still just a hammer. Do you unintentionally, is it like zombie rules? If you hit somebody with the Pope hammer, are they Pope for like the brief amount of time before they die? You smash them in the head and that makes them Pope? Just briefly? They're now a former Pope? The hammer's in a gold case that requires 2 keys to open? Well, you guys are too literal. You guys need to have fun with my scenarios sometimes. Like, you know, you don't have to keep that locked all the time. What if it's just open and you've really like, oh man, this handrail is a little bent. Can you hand me the Pope hammer? His Holiness's death hammer? Does the Pope shit in the woods? I don't know the answers to these questions. Some clever use of Fresnel lenses on this thing. Same security levels as an ICBM. Wasn't the code for them zeros, like the nuclear football? Wasn't it 0000 or something? I think that's a pretty famous story. You make it 1, 2, 3, 4, like some idiot's luggage code. Look at that Fresnel lens. Beautiful. Beautiful, clever little piece of lens engineering. Lengineering. Basically, it's just there to distribute the red light and get it bright enough and spread enough so that the very pathetic red lights that are attached to this circuit board are able to be seen by another motorist. I had the unfortunate luck of having a whole ton of water get to this circuit board and delaminate it. It basically, the copper is still there, but all the solder mask was peeling off and rusting. So what I did is I sanded this thing down so that just the copper was exposed, and I saw some of the traces that were kind of terrible, ones that were deteriorating with corrosion, and I added a fuckload of solder to it and replaced the resistors. And then I got it all working again, except 2 of the LEDs didn't turn on, and that's when I just had a soft but forceful cry to myself at my desk as I was home alone on Christmas Eve, and I resisted the urge of snapping this thing in half. You see that? That's from the rust. This thing just didn't work, so what I did is got on eBay and I bought a new one for $40. It gets here sometime within the next 2 months. It was a good project. It kept me busy Christmas Eve. Kept me busy Christmas Eve at least. And it, by all means, it should have worked and would have worked for a little while in the car at least, with all the repairs that I did, but unfortunately, the whole thing is just bupkis. It's like every time I fix something on my car, another thing is going bad. It's like I'm shoring up the like loose Jello mold, and every time I shore up part of the loose Jello mold, the loose parts will rip off. The Air Force is mad because they didn't have immediate local launch authority, unlike Navy SSBMs, so they sent the launch code to that many. I mean, you know, you got to be, if you're out here guessing codes, that's not something you guess, you know. Like, you know, let's say you're a bad actor, not like you're bad at acting, like you want to do bad stuff. I want to launch an ICBM. You don't go out and like guess the codes. You don't get on the radio and go 0001, 0002, 0003. Memorizing procedure stuff like that, like how do you launch an ICBM? Like, let me memorize the entire sequence. It's fun to do, and it's funny because you just know that you're never going to be in a situation where, oh no, I'm in an ICBM bunker. I should launch. I should start a world-ending nuclear exchange. Oh, you know how to do that. Hope zombie rules. Yeah, you gotta go for the head. During the last presidency, you hear it every presidency. You hear the stories date back to when we had ICBMs. I'm so sad that every car project that I've had in the past 2 months has failed brutally, except the only one that worked was replacing my brake lines with stainless steel ones, which I didn't have to do. I didn't have to do that. I figured if I was there anyway, I'd rather shore up the entire braking system. And it turns out the motor that I replaced, because we did all that troubleshooting for my ABS system, and I got all the sensors in there, and they're all working, save for a piece of road grime that got between the sensor and the spindle and pushed it out a little bit, thus rendering it completely ineffective. So I took a wire brush to that, brushed it off, put it back in. I stripped bolts heads off of the rear because they hold water on them and they get all corroded, and retapped one of them completely successfully after drilling it. The other one, the drill walked to the side of the bolt, but it was still okay. I was still able to put the sensor back in, albeit just twisted like 1 degree off of where it was. Still gets a reading, a good reading. So I did all this stuff, right? Did all this stuff to my car, and the only thing that apparently worked, well, I had one day of proper functioning anti-lock brakes in spite of a bubble in the system, big bubble in the anti-lock braking system. Because it's like this, it's this thing off to the side of your brakes. So if you have a bubble in it, when you're pressurizing the system, you don't really feel it all that much, but it'll compress the air inside of itself without cycling that brake fluid around. So the shade tree mechanic method for excusing all the air from the ABS system is to use the ABS system. So it rained, and I did a bunch of emergency stops in the rain, triggering the system, making the pumps go, all the pressure sensors were happy, no warning lights came on, and then I let the car sit overnight. Next day, pedal to the floor, no force at all. So once I was able to, I bled one of the calipers and got a huge bubble out of it. So now I'm sitting pretty on top of a functioning ABS system with no bubbles on it, because I replaced the motor that went bad, the one that seized when it wasn't used. And then the new motor seized because it wasn't used, is my theory right now. Light came back on. I'm exactly where I was when I started. No, there might still be a bubble in the system, let's be honest, but I'm back exactly where I started. The brakes feel exactly the same. It has a new master cylinder. It's got new brake lines. I feel that the pedal feels exactly the same. It just slowly travels to the floor. I don't know, man. And then shit like my third brake light just goes south all of a sudden. So I'm willing to let this year go. 2022 can fuck off. 2023 will be the year of fixing stuff for once. It wasn't brand new. Brand new pump is $2,000. So I got one off of eBay, which, it should be okay. Maybe it hasn't run in a little while, but it shouldn't have all of the like corrosion that the other one had from sitting for so long. So I don't know what to do. There's some, I guess I can try to like close some valves in the system while I'm bleeding it, and maybe I can get a little bit more of a fluid cycle through the ABS system. The newer models have like a computer program that'll exercise the ABS system to get rid of all those bubbles, but I don't know if there are bubbles in the system. I'm so mad. I'm so mad that I've bled my brakes like 7 times and they're still fucking with me. So I'm not going to replace this motor because I know it doesn't need to be replaced. I can take it and I can take the motor off of the back, assuming I don't strip the bolt head, because we took apart the one that seized. I've got it sitting like right here. I've got all these spare parts. There's not much to the motor. I can just take the motor off of the pump and then see if I can get that little keyway, that little square piece into the pump and then twist it, because that'll unseize it if it's seized. Thought it was a new aftermarket unit? Yeah, no. They don't. The analog brake systems have changed. They don't have the pre-pump anymore. On the Euro version of the car, the pre-pump is sitting right under the hood. You can just get to it. It's just right there. Came into this conversation late, however, I've been working on and building race cars for almost 20 years. Oh, hell yeah. Unfortunately, I have read all that I need to know about the E39, BMW E39. I have an E39 wagon that was an indoor car, and it is now has been an outdoor car for several years. Bought it from a friend of mine that maintains cars very nicely. But I've been set through the runaround, the typical sequence of events, which is ABS going out and the Bosch 5.7 ABS being an absolute utter piece of shit to work on. It's basically what they did is they decided to make the ABS unit like a separate thing that just communicates on the CAN bus. And so that separate thing sits right where all your brake lines are in the heat of the exhaust. And it's specially designed to be able to do that. All these different sensors go into the plug that goes to that unit. And so if any of all of those sensors goes slightly wrong, it will render your ABS off. It'll just turn it off. And so that's what it's been doing on my car. And so that pre-pump sits, and it sits with like an air bubble in it if you're not careful. And when it sits with an air bubble in it, it unfortunately gets corrosion, and the corrosion seizes it. That's my theory anyway. I need to check out what the computer's telling me, because I just put a new one in there. It was an expensive pump. Each missile silo is connected separately to all control silos, including the control silo under Minot. Huh, weird. Single renegade can't do it, even a renegade team with access to the entire shit shot. This thing has seen its days. We'll see if we can carbon date this thing. What are you most excited for in 2023? I don't really know. Actually, I don't actually have any ideas. I don't know. I don't know what's maybe Stalker 2. There's gonna be all kinds of drama about it, but what else is happening in 2022 or 2023? We got Avatar. Nobody thought that movie would come out. Probably shouldn't have come out. I've heard there's some weird things about that movie. I'm not gonna pay a cent for that fucking movie. I wonder if it was GM truck you were talking about. Case came in, but I've had issues. A ton of those trucks, and sometimes you can just use a pressure bleeder, force it through the system. Yeah, I have used. That's my pressure bleeder. Why is the UPS hot? I actually don't know. I put my hand across the top. I thought that was it. Is it just because it's in the lights? Lights aren't really hot. This thing should not be generating heat right now, and it might just be the heat of my hand. Yeah, it's just the heat of my hand. Just because I've been handling it. But yeah, I've been through the runaround of this thing. I did, so there's a, where's that picture? I'll pull up the picture again. I don't mean to like harp on this, but it's just on my mind. I know I've talked about it like 2 streams in a row. Like get new content, streamer. Oh wait, it's in Discord actually, I think. On Discord. Oh, you guys aren't supposed to see that. Last time I showed Discord on stream was a long time ago. And it was back in the days when somebody could jump into your Discord and start posting stuff. So we got somebody that basically porn bombed the general topics section of my Discord. Actually launch, at least 2 control silos must key turn within some short time. None of the control silos have issued standard countdown command in the last 90 minutes. Huh. Well, they have whole procedure booklets for that, right? This is what controls my ABS, and this is the piece of shit that I get to figure out how to bleed. That looked like Spool. I wonder how Spool's doing. I think he's doing good. There's 2 pumps in this thing. One of them's attached to the unit, and the other one is the thing that I replaced. So this thing right here, this own little circuit that sits over here like a polyp, like a tumor. This little thing right here is what I replaced, and there were bubbles in it, and there was bubbles all over it. So I guess what I could have done is tried to bleed through the reservoir, but there's no cutoff for the master cylinder. So I don't know. I could have plugged this with my finger and then bled through there. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. But yeah, I got air out of the system. So I don't think there's much air left, but there's all kinds of weird, like, you know, these chambers have actually a purpose. They're there to store pressure for a brief amount of time. Same with this little thing right here, this little pressure storage guy. I don't know where that is. It's probably in the brick that all the brake cables go in and out of. But yeah, I have to electronically control these valves with the computer and then bleed through the different chambers of the system, I guess. I don't think I can get every one, too. I don't think I can actually functionally bleed each one. I guess if I really wanted to get the check valve, I don't even know if that check valve is real, but I guess I could do the short lurker's reverse bleed, where you pressurize the caliper and I don't know, you keep this from like leaking out. I don't know, man. I'm just so frustrated that my ABS light's still coming on. I guess what I'll do is I'll grab the battery charger and put it into the high amp mode and then just hook it up to the motor to see if I can get it to spin. Bimmer code, I don't have that one. I have the free tools, the INPA. I actually paid $15 to download a whole bunch of this software from an eBay auction just because I was so lazy. I didn't want to even just go and find. Apparently, what is it? Beamer Geeks still has it up posted that you can download, but I didn't know that at the time. So I paid for a Chinese FTP server download, and I got a relatively modern version of INPA along with a couple other programs. INPA is just a bunch of scripts. In the old version of the scripts, you could actually exercise the ABS system in order to bleed it properly. In the version that I have, you can't do that. You can just individually activate the valves and motors. So I did try to activate the pump, the pre-pump, and I didn't hear anything happen, which is a bad sign. Should be able to at least hear it. Because when you activate the ABS pump, you can hear it attempting to pressurize. Full surviving control silo key turns. Another silo confirms or stands down. There's a 90-minute timer that expires. I don't need to know this. I don't need to know. I don't need to read this. I don't need to know this. That's what you remember from what you. Yeah. Why did you memorize this? I don't need this information. I don't need this information. Yeah, I'm just so frustrated. I need to go work on the car. I guess Sunday maybe I'll do that. It's just annoying to continually just kind of spin in circles about it. Yeah, I guess we need to activate the missile silos so that I can drive my car into it. Just drive my car into a missile silo and never talk about it again. And then I'll get an appliance, aka a modern car, an appliance that I am not allowed to look inside or mess with in any way, shape, or form. Speaking of which, that's what we're going to work on today. Another appliance that friggin' exploded. I'll give it a little longer because we've only been hanging out for 30 minutes. I like to get a good solid 45 minutes of goofing off. Doesn't look exploded to me. Well, that's the magic. That's the magic. Caution, risk of electric shock. Boy, that sure would look like a scary sign if I could read. How long have I had this? This has been like... Well, we'll have to take a look and see if there's any like date code on this anywhere. Oh God, it's so heavy. There should be a sealed lead acid battery inside of this thing. Oh man, this thing is gross. Gross. We'll see. There will be signs on the circuit boards and stuff about the origins of this device. I've taken apart UPSs in the past, but it's been a while. It's been a long time, so there should be some interesting stuff in here. We're just kind of noodling around, finishing off the year. I'm actually not sure. I don't know what we're gonna find when we get into here. The symptoms of it dying, though, were that it was overloaded whenever it would switch to backup. So it would switch to internal power and make the constant beep of death. Then eventually, I'm gonna start banning people for saying that. I'm I'm gonna start banning people for saying that. I'm getting sick of it. This thing would turn on and off, and on and off, and on and off. So, yeah, I'm not laughing. I don't know what to do with the power cord. It's gonna be all over the place today. All right, oh, this is a very boring thing to look at ahead of stream, huh? There's not really much going on here. Yeah, crash looping UPS. It's really good for the electronics that are plugged into it too. Really good for them to be you know, cycling. There are, you should look at your, I don't know if you're in the States or if you're overseas. I don't know what they do overseas, but in the States, if you look at your local municipality, you can see if there are either places to dispose of that stuff or if they run special days where they collect that kind of garbage, batteries and things like that. Aside from that, like a chain tech store usually takes stuff like that too. So you can properly dispose of the batteries instead of just throwing them at marine life. Yeah, the power cycling is a bad new thing, and this is such an old UPS. I just replaced it, and I really wanted to get a rack mounted replacement like the trip light that I have on the streaming rack, but it was a little pricey for me. So, speaking of Oregon, Copper saying he has to travel over an hour to dispose of batteries. Oh God. No, during the summer they have hazard waste days. Yeah, that's just something to like Google. There'll be some 1992 township website that'll list when that happens. I need to put stuff together to do that because I've got a big lithium-ion battery. I got like a Li-ion battery that's like a big one, and I really need to do something with it. Put it in my car. No, my car needs way more amps than that. Really difficult to dispose of your trash nowadays? No. What do you mean nowadays? No. 2,000 channel points, just needs new batteries. Wait, what? 2,000 channel points? Huh? Auto parts store? Yeah, I've got a pile of auto parts. And they'll also dispose of your waste oil because they have a waste oil heater. They have heaters that use old oil in order to heat the place. So it's actually a valuable commodity. It'd be cool to have a waste oil heater in the garage. Then I wouldn't have to worry about disposing of old oil. Oil disposal every 15 minutes. Ha! Yeah, the auto parts store is like a solid 18-minute drive for me to get to it. So I'll make a pilgrimage at some point. Maybe I'll do the test drive. Yeah, Happy New Year's Eve to you too. Actually, aren't we supposed to say something else? Did they politicize New Year's yet? They probably did. happy, no, I can't come up with anything good. They made responding in kind political. Holidays? No, that's stupid. I don't believe in New Year, so I'm insulted. Can't wait to see the issue I had. Same issue with the Cyber Power after a year, replace it with APC. What is my new brand? I think I went with Cyber Power again. This thing is from like 2013, I'm gonna guess. So it has had a storied existence. It has done its duty. I'm willing to allow it to be dead. If pizza boxes are politicized. I mean, look, one tweet and this lady takes about 5 cars off the road, lowers a guy's carbon footprint to almost 0, and widely spreads the correct, well, actually debunks everyone's what do you call it, belief that pizza boxes are unrecyclable. Now, it will vary from collection agency to collection agency, especially in the United States, but it is possible to recycle a pizza box. The grease doesn't matter. I always thought that was a little weird. Like, what is a little grease gonna do for like a paper recycling operation? Like, they will have an operation that will remove oils. So, see a lot of APC UPSs in my work. Yeah, that was the thing when I started working for the IED place, is that all of their power supplies, all their uninterruptibles, went bad. I mean, I think they eventually went like a building-wide backup system, but all of the individual APCs that everybody uses go bad. So the tech shop was just full of UPSs and security system batteries. They press the paper out anyway. Oil shouldn't be an issue. I mean, there would be an operation to get rid of the oil, right? Like in any recycling thing, like you don't know what's going in there, I guess. I don't know. You control it to a degree, but and then some of the stuff that I was reading is like they will throw out entire loads of recycling because there's some food waste in it. That's a really Bush League recycling operation. It's crazy. Yeah, the lead and the lead acid batteries are worth money. So when you take it into the store, they're making money off of it, which is fine. I don't want to dispose of batteries. I just throw them at dolphins all day. They do that where you are? Man, that's weird. Hey, thank you for the follows. We're on introverted follow mode, so there's going to be no fanfare for that at all. You can follow and unfollow all you want. All you want. See if I care. I actually care immensely about, I love my followers. Eels need the electrolytes. Yeah, that's just science. That's science. One thing, my friend was just unconsolable. He was incredulous about the fact that my car battery died during all of my shenanigans with the anti-lock braking system. I tried to activate the motors and my dashboard started doing a light show. I was like, oh fuck. So I looked at the battery and it was a low voltage. And so everybody's like, just add water to the battery. And I'm like, it's not that kind. It's not that kind. It's not that kind. And he was like, I just bought that battery. It shouldn't have gone bad. I'm like, well, I hate to break it to you, man, but I had that thing sitting on a battery refresher and nothing was happening. It was always sucking down the same amount of amps. So water and batteries, what is this, 1950s? Yeah. Unfollowing to refollow as a joke resets the follow counter. Uh-oh. Yeah. Where's that? Grind the paper to pulp. Yeah, so the oil just, floats to the top. I don't know if it's quite like that. I guess so. That's what I'm assuming. I mean, I assume it goes through an entire industrial process, so it's just like another step to get rid of the pizza grease that might be the tiny, like, minuscule amount of pizza grease that would be in a load of paper recycling. It never really made much sense to me. And it turns out most operations are totally fine with pizza boxes. Another image that I have to screen. First person to lose $200 billion. How do you go to sleep at night? How do you do that? I felt bad when I bought parts that I never used on a previous car. You guys can still hear the twinge of regret in my voice when I talk about the Porsche 944. That was my project car, and I never got it on the road. Actually, I did get it on the road, but that's because it fell off a trailer and hit a pylon on the highway. I had to replace that fender, but in replacing that fender, I was also doing a lot of work on like the brakes and stuff. I had an LS1 motor, a V8, a Chevy V8 in the 944, mounted, ready to go. I just got bogged down with the electricals, and so I'm sitting here talking about it with sizable regret. It was a waste of money. I sold it for about what I paid for it, but not for what I put into the car, and I still have huge regrets about that. That happens. It just happens in cars, but and project cars. But could you imagine if that car mistake you made was to the tune of $200 billion? Oh my God. Sleeps in a waterbed made out of the tears of people he exploits. I suppose so. I suppose that's how you sleep, knowing that. Then again, it's not like he was sitting on a pile of money. It's all doing things out in the world, right? He doesn't just have like a Scrooge vault that he can open up. So if it's all just numbers on a page, you know. That's about every race car he's ever built and sold for way less than it. Yeah. I got a buddy who has an Excel table of all the cars he's ever owned, and it is an impressive list. All right, I gotta fix the thermal camera. It's kind of messing with me right now. I don't know what's wrong with the thermals lately. They keep popping off. I don't know. I don't know. I don't make the headlines. I'm just given them by people in chat. It's like dual lock is not locking. It's not snapping in properly. I need to rethink this. Maybe we'll work on that next. Oh yeah, no, never run the numbers. Never run the numbers. You know, the project is so much more than just the sum of its dollar signs. That's kind of an important takeaway, is that like your time enjoying what you're doing, how much fun it is, how much you feel that you've accomplished something, the mental impact of that, the stuff you've learned, the things that doing the project has taught you, and then at the very end of that is value added to the physical things. You don't need to worry about that. Like, don't do a spreadsheet. I made one of the worst financial mistakes by buying a car in 2022. Ooh, yeah, I haven't looked at the car market in some time, and I have heard things. I've heard it's pretty crazy out there. The friends you've made, it literally is. It is the friends you've made along the way. Yeah, that is what I'm explaining. It's and unironically explaining. Yeah. Nobody ever pays for the parts you put in a car. Yeah, but people I'm buying cars from certainly love to try that. I put a lot into it. Okay, but you know, your Jaguar XJS with a blown motor and almost no passenger seat due to rot is still only worth the amount of money that I'm going to give you for it. And you know what this person did to the car? They put the wheel that requires tapered studs on non-tapered studs. And what that causes is the wheel to rattle, and basically some of the studs were bent really badly. Hey, thanks for 200 bitums. It's $2 in my pocket, sort of, more or less. It's $1 and some change, I guess. $1 and almost $1 in my pocket. Thank you. Sold the truck a month after that. Once upon a time, I had a Dakota RT that would run 11.7s at Bradenton. It sounds like a Zoomer name. On a hot Florida day, I had a full belly internal transmission built for it and put it in. Did one event, had full street miles before let go as well. $6,000 transmission ruined about a month. I sold the truck a month after that for $2,000. $1.33 after taxes. This is a little more than that with Streamlabs, which I really need to get off Streamlabs. I've been too lazy. It's been about a year. Shit. Mad Cat, thank you for the 159 bits. That's weird. Well, now I know whatever name you've put on your financial system. Oh yeah, the guy that had all the Priuses? What was that about? I would love to make weird cars out of the Priuses. There was a Fiero that these guys took an electric, I think it was like a Ford electric system, and they put it into the front of the Fiero. So the rear wheels were gas and the front wheels were electric. So what they could do is they could power into a turn using rear wheel drive until they got a little bit of oversteer, and then pull themselves out of the turn using the electric front wheels, which get high torque at lower speeds. They had two gas pedals. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Supers can make you rich now. I had a friend with a Mr. 2. I had a friend with a Mr. 2, and it was a good Mr. 2. And he wanted to sell me, he's like, you want to buy my Mr. 2? For like $1,000? I should have bought it. It was just sitting in his garage. But I mean, none of us had like parking space for that kind of stuff. 2JZ that I bought from an importer for $1,000. They sell for so much now. Yeah. I know, it's ridiculous. Like, and the reason is because the people that the people that grew up with those cars are now reaching a financial status where they can buy them again, and so people are buying up that early 90s. It's like the jelly bean era of cars is now apparently worth a shit ton. I wonder how much like a diesel Jetta is worth, seeing as they sort of made that market for themselves by recalling all of them. They're now in the Sahara Desert in giant parking lots that are creepy. They really should be breaking them down, but it's not financially worth it for them to break anything down. Oh, them drifters, yeah. That was a hype train. You guys triggered a hype train? Ooh, you guys are weird. How dare you? Same thing happened in my era with muscle cars. Wow, you're old. No, yeah. That's what happens. It's what happens. It's just weird to us because these were like the dumpy cars of the 90s. Somebody left a note on my car the other day. They said, hey, if you're interested in selling this car, I'd be willing to buy. And they gave me a phone number. I threw it in the trash because I love my car, but it's crazy. It's like I've got like a dumpy luxury station wagon from 1999, and apparently that's worth like its weight in myrrh. It's crazy. A lot of guys drifting or moving to LS engines. Well, that's because an LS engine will run broken longer than most engines will run. You can barely throw sparks at that thing. You can hold a taser up to it, and it'll make motor noises. Don't catch too many streams because it's EU time. Good to get one today. Hell yeah, man. Happy New Year, I guess. Is it already New Year over there? No, you guys have several hours. A Chevy Citation, the easiest car to pull over. I don't even know I don't know anything about that car. I just like that name. Let's call our car the Citation. More in the shop than on the road. That's how my car feels right now. My car drives, but it's like a golf cart right now because it doesn't have ABS, so I'm not going to drive it crazy. And I think I have a flat spot on one of my tires from all the braking. Because that or a wheel bearing is going, so just my luck. Like, hey, oh, now I get to do wheel bearings in this car. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that my car is deteriorating. Yeah. Well, the other weird part about having a Chevy V8 is that you can walk in to the car parts store and there's stuff out in the rows, out in the aisles that you can put on you're like, I need a new head gasket. Oh, those are aisle 5. Like, what? It's right there. What the hell? It's crazy. It's crazy. You know, being somebody who's always had kind of a Euro car, being able to walk in and find car parts at an auto parts store is wild. It's just wild. It's like a different universe. I'm gonna become a K-Series Honda fanboy. Ah, the K cars. There's the K cars and the KEI cars. There's like two. Why do they both? They can't both exist like that. Sorry, I'm trying to see if I apologize for missing chats, but being able to repair things is much weird. No, like from the standpoint of like a Eurocar person, it's like, well, that's a specialty part. It is in metric, and now I need a metric bolt. So you go to Home Depot and they don't have metric bolts. They have 5, and they're in a drawer in the corner of the store that nobody's been to in 5 years. So that's the experience with Euro cars. Oh, I need a motor mount. Nobody sells that, even though it's just a piece of rubber. So I'm going to go on eBay, and the person that's sending it to me is in Croatia. So now I need to wait a month for that part to come in. I could buy one from an auto parts store, but it's $3,000 for a piece of rubber. Like, that's the experience with European cars. Or I can go to a junkyard and maybe, just maybe there will be one there. But they changed the design midway through the year, so I'll probably end up with the wrong one. Always works like that. Does K-Series make good power for the size? I want, every now and then on Bring a Trailer, they have one of those adorable little like Japanese trucks goes up for sale. I would love something like that. I'm kind of a big guy, right? I'm kind of a big guy, like circumference. Imagine a big bearded guy trundling out and getting in this tiny little truck and then tootling away. I think that would be awesome. Yeah, there's a, there. Yeah, he is. A lot of room in them. 6'5", 280. I daily drove one for 2 months. Damn. The K engine is not for K cars. I can't keep it straight. Yeah, I wish we were one of those states where they said, that car is reasonably modern. You don't have to get it inspected anymore. They just don't do that here. They don't do that here. We have to get inspections every 45 minutes to make sure that our catalytic converter didn't puke its guts out. And that our cars are roadworthy. I guess that's a good check to have. Electric dust? What are you talking about? Open wheel race car on the street once? Ugh. Y'all have meows in your exhaust? Yeah, you know, they come with them. Actually, the cat will naturally disappear. And you'll be left with a gap in your exhaust and some saw marks on your car. Depending on the state of scrap prices. Are we, let's just get started, all right? Are we ready? Are we ready to go? Are we ready? You guys are ready? I don't care. I don't care if you're ready. You guys probably aren't ready. But I can get this thing out of here and we can get started just as soon as I very slowly fade out the music. Oh, okay. I guess it just stopped. Hi, how's it going, everybody? So we're here. It is the last day of the year. Last day of the year, or whatever arbitrary lap time or lap position we've decided to count as being the new year. 365 days ago, I had a stream very similar to this where I said Happy New Year and I've had a great time, and I probably broke down in tears. We've had a pretty good year this year. I had a lot of stuff going on. We did not finish Burn the Subs, and the shop looks exactly like it did last year this time. I have that stream on a hard drive. I think it's the same hard drive, actually. So yeah, we've had a pretty uneventful year. Things have kind of been samey, but we've done a lot of cool stuff. We've done a lot of cool projects. I pop in the battery to the UPS. The UPS self. I don't have a new battery for this. I had to replace the battery that's in the garage that backs up the phones because that thing apparently goes bad with regularity. So I don't have a replacement battery to go into this thing. Yeah, it's true. I gotta wait for Murderbits to like have a surgery scheduled or something so I can start Burn the Subs without a bunch of bullshit going up on it. Straight from his credit card and onto my wall. U_sexjoke_something else_ as a Twitch name. Catalonia. Damn. I'd love to see a map of all of my viewers. Actually, they do provide me with that data. I'm just too lazy to look at it. I can figure out where y'all are from. I can tell you right now, it's USA, Germany, and then I think the Finns are third. I'm not totally sure, but that's usually the breakdown. But the percentages are like 90% USA. So, do I know where Catalonia is? No, I'm an American. I don't give a shit. We're looking at a power supply today. My power supply went completely fucking bupkis. It went head over heels. No, that's not even the phrase. What even are the? Yeah, I know where Barcelona is. I know where it is. Finn, Norwegian, and Swedes were all Nordic. Ignore the Danish. Yeah, the Danish don't count. I'm not allowed to hate the Danes. I guess you guys are. I have no beef with the Danes. It's just like the same way that I treat Chester Willard, who is he's in New York now. He's in New Jersey. The way Pennsylvania treats New Jerseyans, we would take a bullet for them, but we also constantly make fun of them. So many of us in America don't even know where we are. Yeah, I know where the Piggly Wiggly is, and I don't know where anything else is outside of my neighborhood. I know where a lot of stuff is. Anyway, cyber power. I bought this thing a century ago. It has failed me. What's happened with it recently is that with stuff plugged into it, because okay, I'm in America. I'm an American. I live in America. I'm in America, and I'm in a suburban neighborhood. The old, you know, I hate it. But anyway, I'm in a suburban neighborhood in Pennsylvania. We have a lot of trees. We literally fucking call the place Penn's Woods. Near Philadelphia, lots of trees, lots of overhead power lines. And so, my power goes out. Like a lot. Like to the degree where we bought a generator this year so that we could retain power during these power outages. I mean, I partially rely on electronics to keep me alive. I've turned my phone into my insulin pump. So I somewhat need flowing electricity to continue my life, my living, my being alive, my status as not unalived. So we bought a generator for the house. When the generator kicks in, power still fluctuates and does a bunch of naughty stuff. What I've done over the years of streaming, because I've had power outages during stream before, is bought a bunch of uninterruptible power supplies, UPSs. These things are, you know, you pretty much know what they are if you're watching Twitch right now. It is a battery that's hooked up to a bunch of electronics that you plug into your wall. This thing will charge the battery and maintain it, and then when power goes out, it will provide AC electricity on its outputs, right? That's all there is to it. The ratings and stuff for them are for how much energy it can store and how much energy it can provide. Those are your specifications when you're buying something like this. And then the expenditure is in shipping a bunch of lead acid batteries around, because these lead acid batteries, particularly the security system batteries, they carry a big punch, but they're very heavy. They've got a lot of lead in them. So when the battery goes bad, the UPS people will just, oh, that's dead. You can typically replace the battery and have a good time, but I think something else is going wrong with this thing. I have a UPS on basically everything that runs the stream. I've got a little one, like a plug strip one over with the internet stuff. I got a big one on the rack right here that'll power everything when the power goes out. And then the generator will kick on, and I will probably have 5 minutes, maybe a little bit less, until all of the internet just dies. So I will be able to, in the future, I'll be able to wrap stream and close it down, and then I'll just go play a single player game or something. So line interactive or online youth? I don't know. I don't know. Everybody rolling up in the chat trying to sound smart. I don't fucking know. We're gonna look at the electronics in this thing. I want to look at the circuit boards and see what's going on them, because I don't know. I just haven't had a chance to take apart a device like this. I hate it when the sleeves are just at the length where they feel like they're falling. Anyway, I don't know what we're going to find inside of this thing. Whenever we take apart a piece of electronics, we always have a pretty good amount of fun finding like Easter eggs and maybe things that they design that are kind of poor, or things they design that are good. I just want to see what's going on. Line interactive where it's triggered by power drop? Yeah, I don't know what. This one seems like the battery probably was bad, but it also seems like some other electrical gremlin affected this thing, because for a little while, take a sip of water before heartburn kills me. For a little while, this thing would, when the power went out or blipped briefly, this thing would turn everything off and then do an overcurrent fault. It would say, you're overloading this, I can't possibly keep up. Whereas on its little display on the front, it said I really wasn't using that much power. And then after doing that for a little while, I come downstairs and this thing is powering up and down intermittently. Now I could press this button and power it up right now. I could attempt to turn this thing on. I don't want to do that because I don't want this to charge capacitors inside of it. This thing has been sitting for a little while and it should be relatively safe. We're just going to have to watch out because we are taking apart a device that is designed to create lethal amounts of current when it's unplugged, right? That is the entire design of this thing. This thing makes 120 volts while unplugged. So it is not recommended that even people who know a modicum of electronics go inside of this kind of thing. I know a shitload about electronics, and I've done stuff like this before, so I should be okay. But for those of you that are using my stream as a reference for what you can do, you might want to just, like, I don't know, revel in the safety that you have being not on camera. But you might not want to take it apart. There's one screw visible on the outside of this thing. I would have assumed that there would be a little bit more than that, seeing as these things pretty regularly puke out the batteries. Oh, there's more on the back. Okay, cool. All right, well, we've got a bunch of screws to get, and I'm gonna try to get the battery out of this thing first. Standard Wera screwdrivers. Those should be enough to get into here, right? Yep. All right. I don't know what the hell that screw is all about. That's a weird one. There's just one screw on the underside of this. Does that mean the whole faceplate comes off now? Not really. Not really. Oh, wait. It is kind of. It's sliding? Okay. Oh, well. Figured out how to access the batteries. There's two. I didn't know there was two in here. So I guess that one screw is how you would get in and access the batteries. I didn't even know about that. All right, all right, all right. Well, let's get these out of here because they're probably dead. Actually, they might be good if it's the electronics that are fried. Also, if this thing comes apart like way too easily and we sort of get into this and everything's fine and super fine and everybody's happy, I do have other stuff that we can work on for sure. Yeah, these, I mean, the UPSs go on sale periodically, and that's sort of when you nab them up, because they're way too expensive to ship. I'm gonna unplug the front panel, actually. Just balance that there. It's super heavy. I don't want cables to break. I don't know if we can resurrect this thing. No promises on that, but if we can resurrect this thing, I could put it on burn the subs as a battery backup for the board. Yeah, just in case I get a power outage again. All right, how's this gonna work? Oh! Ugh! Ugh! Yeah, just two. That's it. I know, like a power wall would be nice. Is that the same for APC UPSs we use? Take off the face, pull out the old batteries. That, I mean, I would assume that would be what goes wrong with this one, but this one has a weird problem. It's like powering on and off constantly. So yeah, maybe it is these things, but we have in the garage, we have a thing from Verizon that backs up the phone line. It gives the 75 volts for a typical phone line, which boy howdy, do I want to get rid of that. But that takes one of these batteries and it constantly breaks it and ends up having to do its like beep cycle. I really want to put like a capacitor instead of the battery and just have it not ever beep again. I don't know exactly what the procedure is with that. Anyway, get like a 12 volt cap. Yeah, phone lines are, I believe when they connect, let me Google this real quick just so I get the right number. Phone line voltages. All those old phone system, the POTS phone line, all phones on hook should measure about 48 volts, drops down to 3 to 9 volt when a telephone line goes off hook. Off hook is 180 milliamps. Where did I get 75 from? How to get emergency power from a phone line. Huh, that's kind of neat. What is line voltage of telephone line? 48 volts, 600 ohm source. Maximum power, 75 milliamps. Maybe that's where I got 75 from. Yeah, anyway. So phone lines are 48 volts. Battery's the coldest thing in the room. Why is that? Why is that? Do these have a year on them? Doesn't look like it. Made in China. Okay, so the rest of the UPS is going to be a lot of power handling and capacitors and stuff like that. So let's figure out what's going on in here and see if we can't make sense of it, huh? Yeah, I don't know what's the ringing current or the ringing voltage. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I didn't find it in my quick little Google. But yeah, phones are a lot of electricity. Not a lot of current, but a lot of electricity. This is exactly what you shouldn't do. Hang out in the back of a UPS with a screwdriver. Newest UPS room at work uses LiFePO4s. Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't seen more usage of LiFePO4s because they're an interesting battery. They're good for high current applications and stuff. You can stab them and they don't, yeah, explode like a LiPo. I used LiPo 4s in my LED headgear, because then you could get like 4 volts, 5 volts at like huge amounts of current, and they would last like 2.5 hours each. There's some kind of licensing thing on them. They're like a neat battery. It's like a good technology. It's sad that it would be caught in licensing, right? In the US, 90 to 100 volts. Jesus. Oh, it's only just ending. Interesting. Oh, that'll be good to see some LiPos around. Man, it's almost like they don't want you getting into this thing. Although they did use Phillips head everywhere, so they weren't trying as hard as some of the things that we took apart. Does working on this require PPE? No. What are you talking about? Each battery pack can do a 300 amp drain with 800 amps at burst. That's why I'm wondering why, I should be able to go out and just get like a new car battery that uses LiPo, because it's so much lighter. And it can just do those specs all day, every day. Yeah, they are. They are expensive. That's the one thing. I'm not getting a lot of torque on these screws, and I need a lot of torque, so I might have to switch off of the Wiras. That actually kind of hurt me a little bit there, gripping this thing so hard. But LiPos also hate cold temperatures. They're really bad in the cold. Really bad in the cold. You can see where all the veins in my arm are, at least. By the heat of my arm, you can see how taxed my muscles are. Yeah, for a brief amount of time, I was playing with heaters and lithium batteries. They do sell heaters for lithium batteries, and the RC enthusiasts know this quite well, because if you're flying an RC aircraft pretty high up, it's cold, and so you get less life out of your batteries. Lithium batteries and lithium polymer batteries, etc., they love heat. You run them hard, they'll do you well. They love heat. You get more current out of them with that heat. Ah, that was a workout. Holy crap, those screws were not going anywhere. Crashed your drone once because of a frozen battery. Well, you live in like the Arctic Circle too. They loved the Arctic Circle so much, they made a sequel. Arctic Circle 2. Finish Boogaloo. Begone, plastic. Begone, oh, there's another screw. There's another screw. There's another one. It's right here. Heaters that run on lithium batteries? Well, yeah. You hook the heater up to its own battery and it heats itself. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Oh, they used a different screw for that one, huh? Interesting. A little thinner one on that. A thinner one to boot. Oh, there's one up here too. So far what I'm noticing, everything on this thing is Phillips head screws, and they are all very obvious in where they are placed. They're not trying to do your typical hide the screw game that we always get from these companies that produce things like this. They try to make their design look as schmexy as possible, and so in all of that curvature and weird sort of fashionable design, they will also bury the screws everywhere, under all kinds of stuff. That's not the case with this. This is just simply a shell that's being held together in all of the most obvious locations. Okay, that was a little dramatic. Plomp. Thing bursts open. Transformer. There she is, in all of her magnetic glory. You have to go to work, no life in the car. Check under the hood. Battery's frozen so bad, the entire casing on it was cracked. Oh my God. Yeah, that's what cold cranking hours are all about. I don't know, you know, they did a pretty good job of making a brick full of batteries look like something. I don't think I agree with the curved top, but I mean, maybe that's to keep people from stacking stuff on top of them, which fairly effective, actually. I did not stack anything on top of this. There's a fan on the transformer. Neat. So when you're producing AC with DC and you have to make 120 volts out of 48 volts, what you're going to do is you're going to end up switching that current into a coil and then capturing it on the other end, where it goes in the opposite direction, but it bounces up really high, right? That's some deadly stuff you got there. I love how all of the, like, Billy's First electronics books and stuff, like, if you open up, like, a fairly old electronics book, like a how to learn circuits your first time, the, like, first lab that they have you doing is to get a 1 to 10 transformer and fucking plug it into the wall. Like, I know that's what people typically do. That's a boost converter that I described earlier. I know that's, like, what you do and how you do it, like, back in the day, but nowadays I really hope that they don't have that as your step one. Maybe there's something, like, cool and unique and interesting about hooking something up to the current that's coming from the wall, but I don't want to lose potential electrical enthusiasts, so I would caution against any book that advises you to plug a transformer straight into the wall. It's so weird that they would have you doing that. Anyway, nowadays we have wall warts that produce 5 volts, and then you can get into programming quicker. You can become a degenerate embedded developer much faster. All right, what do we got here? Well, we got a one-sided circuit board, so I guess even CyberPower is trying to pinch pennies. Pinch a batch of pickled pinch pennies. There we go. Ugh. Lichtenberg. What is deadly Lichtenberg? I don't see no capacitors on this thing. I see normal-sized capacitors inside of this, so we should be all right. I'm gonna unhook the transformer and get it out of here. What are connected? What are due? What are due? Well, if there's any latent current in this thing, this will certainly resolve it. Bah! Pa-bam! Giant sparks. Oh my god. Ah! Wood burning thing? I don't remember. I don't remember the wood burning thing. Oh, is this, wait, was that a video where they were... No, that's not... maybe I'm thinking of something else. All right, let's bust this open. Let's get the transformer out of here so that we can get the circuit board out. I just want to take a look at the circuit board closer and see what kinds of tricks it has under its behind its sleeves, around the sleeve area of this thing. I would like to see the tricks, and potentially we can diagnose what the hell happened to my UPS. It's looking more and more like the battery probably was just bad. It's looking more and more like that, although I would like to investigate a little bit more and just to see if we can see any dead electronics in it. All the predictions about there being tons of huge capacitors, not correct. Unless those are big, like a different form of a big capacitor. We don't have big ones. Oh, that! Yeah, making lightning patterns on wood with the high voltages. Yeah, and right. And makers are just fucking, like, giving themselves heart attacks, lethal tasings with these things, because they are so dangerous. You're required to just get in there and play around with, like, 1,500 volts, 15,000 volts. And since that current, I need a bigger screwdriver. Since that current is going through your hands, there's a nice, wonderful little loop. A nice little loop that goes right across your chest, through your heart. Your heart relies fairly heavily on electrical signals. So don't mess around with like, unless you've been around electronics and stuff, don't jump into high voltage, because high voltage can fuck you quick. I mean, right there. People are not scared enough of electricity. I have the advantage that if anything happens with big sparks, everybody clips it. And then I get my second viral video. My first viral video got about 70,000 views, and it was of a capacitor exploding, and my face wasn't anywhere near that clip, unfortunately. Anything related to my channel is just simply through the sharing of that clip through Twitch. So I didn't see any higher numbers as a result of that, but it was fun to at least get out there. Usually the stuff that I do is not worthy of clipping. I might be mildly funny every now and then, but other than that, heart needs an electrical signal, and if I had electricity, more is gooder. Yeah, I think that's the case, yeah. Yes, I know Electro Boom. As a professional electrical engineer who as professionals doing a lot of work in that sentence, but as a self-styled and somewhat educated electrical engineer, watching Electro Boom, it's tough because it's very obvious when he fishes for a mistake or something to explode, right? It's really obvious to me. I don't force that. I don't like to force that because it's unnatural. You know, when you act something and you want something to happen, you know it's going to happen, you like flinch ahead of time, it's not good. So doing high voltage project for work, helium neon laser needs some love. Ooh, I've been trying to find a helium neon that goes two ways. The partially mirrored and the mirrored surface, I need it to go both ways so that I can make that ring laser gyroscope. The helium neon that I have is all scienced up and enclosed. The fun thing about helium neon tubes is that they hold a fairly brutal amount of static charge after they've been used. So if you're messing around with a helium neon laser, ask me how I know, and you're holding the tube and it's not even connected to your high voltage power supply, but you've just been recently using it, you can again make that wonderful little loop through your heart, but with high voltage, with heavy amounts of static electricity. And so your muscles are sparkling and your heart's sparkling, and you go, ugh, and you throw your helium neon laser tube, your glass fluorescent tube that has very carefully positioned mirrors on both sides. You throw it because that's what your muscles thought that they were signaled to do. And if it doesn't shatter, you then have to realign the mirrors. Fun times. Let me go get a bigger screwdriver. People get distracted by his monobrow, so the explosions get them back. I did like his video on, this is Electro Boom, by the way, we're talking about. I did like his video on power propagation through water, where he got closer and closer to basically two AC power lines that were in a glass of water. Because people think that if power is applied to water, that video game rules suddenly apply, and all of that water is an insta-death to your character. But that's not the case. Water and power propagate. It doesn't go as quick as you think it does. I mean, it does create a bit of a radius, but he had AC leads in a glass of water, and he had to pretty much roll up on top of them in order to get any sense of electricity going through them. Grandfather nearly killed himself when I was like 8. Don't remember exactly what happened, but something or another was somehow not grounded when he touched both the table saw and the garage door. Wound up in the hospital. Damn. I had something akin to that happen, but not with as much severity as that. Basically, I was working at an audio-visual company that was doing this. They were trying to make an ASIC, basically. They were making an ASIC that puts channels of mono audio onto an Ethernet cable and makes a little network with your audio gear. And what that means is that you don't have somebody with a giant mixer who's getting yelled at by every single member of the orchestra to turn their personal headphones up. Everyone gets their own mixer. And so with everybody having their own mixer, the audio engineers can do the audio engineering that they need to do, and there isn't like a ramp-up effect with the volumes on stage. Cool product. We were testing sort of a bigger version of it, and so we had all these rack mount devices that we were reaching behind and unplugging quarter-inch audio cables into. You know, bop, 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 channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, okay, all the channels are good. Part of a little testing procedure. And so what that required me to do is to reach to the back of the unit and plug something in. Well, your arm then ends up hitting heat sinks on the power supply. They basically went to Jameco and bought one of these power supply boards that you can put into your project, right? So they had that, but that has these heat sinks on it. And the thing about heat sinks with MOSFETs, the type of power MOSFETs that you would use in something like this, or like a 12-volt power supply. That tab is not in any way isolated. The heatsink actually ends up being the emitter or the collector, I forget which one it is. It's the whatever is at that center pin of the FET is also that heatsink. And so reaching over it, I was bridging the connection between ground and the heatsink, which put me at a grand total of 75 volts. That was a fun time. What they ended up doing was taking pieces of transparencies, cutting and then punching holes in them and just putting them on the standoffs so that it would wrap around the power supply. Yeah, I almost got a nice little workers' comp lawsuit there. All right. Anyway, this thing hasn't been powered in a while, and there aren't that many big capacitors in it, so the potential on this thing probably pretty low. I want to know what went wrong with this circuit board, though. So what I want to do is get the circuit board out and inspect it. I want to look for things that seem like they've been stressed out. And I've already put a piece of metal between these two heat sinks, so I should be pretty good for not getting shocked. I've been tased once. That was pretty interesting. I would imagine that it sucks, like, bad, just because all your muscles are doing stuff that you don't want them to do. In addition to just the pain. All right, so we get those two tabs off. The chances of my putting this thing back together are pretty slim, aren't they? This might just be disposal. We shortened a cable, went over an old camper that said not to, but I went out one side. Never made it, was passed out on the ground. Jeez. Damn. Y'all getting brain damage out here from electrical mishaps. All right, what else do I need to remove? There's a lot of like plugs and tabs and things that I need to undo. Here's the fan. What do you think? Think that's a 48-volt fan? What is this fan? What voltage are you? Oh, there's a lot of dust. 12-volt fan. All right, that makes sense. That makes sense. I felt like I had a dope massage after. Well, Buddy and I guess a friend of mine's dad did a lot of work with like consulting for like random products. And so he'd always have all these like weird random products sitting around. And one of them was one of these muscle like stimulators. And we were trying it out, and it was like there were settings on the little thing. And so you go from 1 to 2, and then everything after 2, because it went up to like 10, everything after 2 was just pure pain. It would like get your muscle to like twitch, and you'd be like, oh, that's cute. You turn it up like one more thing, and it would just, you'd be like, ah! It was just pain. There was no difference in the therapeutic effect. It just hurt. It just hurt. Pure pain and pure pain accessories. All right, these little tabs can fuck right off. These little spades, they always stick way too hard. I am not going to remember where any of these hookups went. Listen, this would be the time to take a picture with your cell phone if you wanted to resurrect the device. But I don't know how resurrectable this thing is going to be. To be fair. To be fair. Tubers. See, the question is it just a spade connector, or is it a spade connector with a lock? Because sometimes these things have a little tab that'll lock them in. Oh my god, that has to have a lock on it. How come some of them have a lock and some of them don't? See? No lock. Also, some of them are they've just never been unplugged. Yeah, the little tab that you have to press. I hate it. I hate it. That one came off just fine. Why did you make it like this, Cyber Power? What the fuck? Give me this tab. Ugh, little bastard. Okay. I think maybe this is just really sticky as well. Yeah. Fuck. Ah. Okay. I'm gonna win this. Ugh. Mankind uses tools. That's what sets them apart. Basically, I was using the pliers as a fulcrum, as a lever. Ah, there we go. I've done it. I've performed the autopsy. So, simple, basic. We've got quite a few. Oh, I see. So that's for the phone line. So this is to help, I guess, keep transients out of the phone line. And then this here is like a self-contained cable thing for your TV cable to go in. Over here, well, the USB and stuff is on the main board, because that's probably where the microcontroller is. That's running the show. And then everything else is a plug strip, although plug strip with benefits. One of them has backup power and the other one does not. Yeah, coax, there you go. All right, the heart of the operation, the big-ass transformer. It looks like DC is going directly into it, so they're switching ground to it. That makes sense. Yeah, the positive power goes directly into it, and then they would switch it to ground, pulse it to ground in order to make the AC. Let's see if I could just get this out from under here. Might have to remove the circuit board to do that. Nothing too special about this. It's just your basic backup power supply. All right, I think I have to remove the circuit board to get that wire out from under the corner. I could try to get it through, but it's just like, just annoying. Just annoying. So let's get this circuit board out of here. See what we got going on underneath. Bonk. Bonk. Who else is holding you in? There it is. All the way down here. Oh, good. Yeah. How's my capacitor? Is it safe? Why did they put a cap right next to this fucking... God damn it, you people. Drive me crazy. You need a long screwdriver in order to take this thing apart, huh? About up here. There's going to be one somewhere up here. Yeah, I can feel it. There it is. There it is. Way deep down by all the tall stuff. There's a big resistor and a big capacitor right next to it. Largest capacitor on this thing is smaller than you'd think. Oh, those are relays. Okay. Oh, a lot of good parts in this thing. A lot of good useful parts. All right. Get all the plastic out of the way. Or just store it next to me. All right. Dear God, this is a large transformer. Caution. Transformer core is not grounded. It may present a risk of electric shock. Test before touching. I don't think this thing's doing much right now. Dear God, this thing is fucking heavy. This weighs like 4 pounds. I wonder if there's a rating on it somewhere. I don't see no ratings. Yeah, this is where the magic happens. This is what you're putting all that power through in order to create the output. A big boy. Okay, so everything's covered in dust. Mostly what I'm seeing here is no problem with the electronics. I don't see any burst capacitors. Those would typically be your first candidate for a completely malfunctioning board. We have a big ground lug hooked up to the rest of this thing with a whole lot of circuitry going on. We got labels over ICs. Looks like we're doing through-hole and surface mount, although we've got surface mount chips. That's kind of interesting. Surface mount chips, and then in order to run more current through their traces, they are, of course, adding these little bands of solder to them. Actually, those are working more or less as a heat sink at this point. You add a bunch of metal to your trace, and then you have it be in kind of a little ribbly pattern, and that'll help dissipate heat. The reason you want that on your trace, all that extra metal, is so that it can carry the extra current, and so that it doesn't heat up and bend and cool down and unbend. Heat up, bend, cool down, unbend. It could do that over and over again. That'll cause a crack in the trace, and when the trace is too thin, it'll basically be an igniter, and it can end up burning your circuit board to the ground. But that's like a very minor thing. Like that's not gonna be in an instant. That's gonna take a long time to happen. So we have a bunch of low voltage electronics here. We've got all the high voltage, well, high current stuff over at one side, and we've got parallel poly fuses over here, TVRs actually. No, none of the caps look like they're even remotely distressed at all, which really doesn't feel right from the behavior that I was seeing on the UPS with it turning on and off repeatedly. I hesitate to think that this is a bad battery problem, but I don't see any evidence of anything else being wrong. Well, we'll flip to the microscope and we'll take a close look at some of this stuff and see what we can discover along the way. It's always fun to do stuff like this because you discover weird things. Like I wouldn't have expected cyber power to be using a one-layer circuit board. Sure, but at that point you're jumping through hoops to blame the capacitors. And typically a capacitor would have a very obvious tell. But then again, a bad capacitor and a device that flips on and off repeatedly, that does sound like a bad capacitor. Yeah, for cyber. You called your company cyber, and yet you're using very low-tech solutions. Please explain yourselves. Purportedly cyber power is not very powerful of you. In this, I challenge you to a battle in the cyber realm. Okay, so here we are. The circuit, but man, that's way too close. This is way too close. This is uncomfortable. I'm a little uncomfortable with this closeness. Could you guys maybe move away a little bit? You kind of, I can smell your breath. It's like way too close. Yeah, chat's a close talker, huh? Look at this chippy thingy. What do you suppose it's doing? Well, peel this away and we'll know. We're not gonna be doing a full reverse engineer on this thing. I can tell you that much right now. I don't need to know what cyber power's out there doing with their circuit boards. I just want to take a cursory look at this thing and just see what some of the features are. I was gonna leave behind a lot of bullshit. You sure the UPS you're looking at is a 15-year-old design? Yeah, no. Although, you know what? If we compare it to the one that I just bought, I'm wondering if there would be a whole bunch of differences. Probably not. My skin is very dry. Why is that? Why is my thumb, like, all ashy? That's weird. I think I've touched any weird chemicals. Ah, I hate you, paper stickers. ST Micro. Is that a pick? 72, blah, 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 and 72F638. Hold on. 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 Okay, there. ST Micro 72FC. $32. Hold on. What was it again? What was your number? 72F638. 72F638. There we go. 8-bit microcontroller. 63B, yeah. Low speed USB 8-bit microcontroller. Yeah, you guys gotta just let me do this. Let me do the searching for you. You guys don't need to jump ahead and look up everything. Let me do it. It might be a little painful, but for the people that don't know anything about electronics, it's useful for them to see me struggle. Why does it do that? Weird. So this is, we can't really know what's going on inside of this thing. This thing is programmed with a bunch of software, and we can't really get to it. I don't know exactly how this thing is locked. We could possibly get a ROM off of it. I don't really want to do that, though. This thing would be running, well, it'd be supervising the functions of the UPS, driving the screen output, as well as communicating over UBS, communicating over USB to whatever this thing is plugged into. I used to have this thing running on my server, and it would send me an email every time something would happen to the power supply. I then went to Triplight and I plugged it into the same server, and now everything's broken. I guess it just doesn't speak quite the same language. What is it? FreeBSD? Not quite as good with that type. Anyway, this thing is probably supervising all the higher functions of the power supply. Depending, I don't know if we're gonna find like an ASIC that's responsible for running the MOSFETs. Nowadays, you'd see like a big MCU doing literally everything in the device, but I don't know. We'll see what they have when we get to those other chips that are on the top surface. So USB is coming in here. Those are our data lines going through a current limiting resistor, and then they have a 0 ohm resistor, but they're labeled L1 and L2. Well, that's, I guess, the first inductors to go on this very inductor-heavy design were the ones involved in USB. But L1 and L2 have been shorted over. I guess they decided that they didn't want to order ferrite beads or RF chokes of any type to go in here. That, I just described a ferrite bead twice. Anyway, D+, D-. Oh, there's our microcontroller. So yeah, that's doing all the USB communications and stuff. Its clock is right here. There's a crystal between these two pins. You'd see it on the other side of the board. Probably these are the pins that are associated with the crystal from ST Micro. This is a one-layer circuit board, so actually that's a jumper. I think some of these out here, there they are, crystal, and they're doing the resistor in between it, and then you get the two capacitors to ground on either side of the oscillator. So this thing is what's giving this thing life. It's basically the mechanism that drives the software forward. A lot of jumpers on here because we are, again, a one-layer circuit board. I have half dozen of those for my business. I'm convinced they're designed to outlast the warranty period and no more than 3 to 4 years after that. Mine was well out of warranty. I've been using this one for a long time. Actually, we should look for a date code first and foremost so I can put my money where my mouth is. I've had good luck with this CyberPower unit. I bought it on sale like a fortnight ago. A lot of the time when these things go bad, and that might be the case with this one, is that the batteries are just done. Now, those security system batteries aren't necessarily the most long-lasting things in the world. 94V0. Why do we see this on every circuit board that we look at? Well, if you're selling a product, this rating right here is related to the combustion properties of the circuit board material. So how does it light on fire? Does it drip flammable material? What lit it on fire? Who's the government talking to? Sorry, I went Neil Breen for a minute there. This is just like a safety rating. I don't know if that's Energy Star or not. They just put a star on their board. 1228? I don't think 2028 is when we had this thing built. Metal oxide varistors. This is what will shut things down if these get too hot. Piece of silicon in here, and if you run current through that silicon and you run a lot of current through it, it'll heat up, and when it does heat up, it no longer allows the transmission of electrons, and so you have to wait until this thing cools down in order to run it again. Never go full Breen. You try, which sometimes you fail. All of these things, these, I don't think this is a, I mean, Move 3 and Move 2, we've got more metal oxide varistors on this thing than you can shake a stick at. The big yellow can is usually a power-rated capacitor. Yeah, you see these on fans a lot because when you start up a fan, you want to have a phase offset in one of your coils so that you can push a little bit harder. It could be 2012. Yeah, 2012. I'm looking for anything that would resemble like a date on this. ST Micro, Viper 22A. That's way too close to a catchy name for your electronic thing. You know, you don't see these things called like Viper. that's maybe a happy accident. I don't know. Let's just see. I'm gonna look up this chip. So ST VIP-ER22A. Jeez. We're gonna get like an airplane or something. So ST Micro VIP-22A, the Viper. Do you think they came up with this like by accident because they're so humorless at these companies that make chips? Low power offline SMPS primary switcher. What? What does that do? Typical application cover offline power supplies for battery charger applications. Blah 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 blah. Large input voltage range on VDD accommodates changes in auxiliary supply voltages, which is well adapted to battery charger adapter configurations. Automatic burst mode in low load conditions. Under voltage protection in a hiccup mode. Dedicated current mode PWM controller with a high voltage. I'm getting hand neuropathy. High voltage power MOSFET on the same silicon chip. What'd it do? Is this what's switching our low side? I don't think so. I think this has more to do with like the relays and stuff. It's all the way on the back of the board though. Oh, so this is responsible for what? Switching stuff over? When there's no power? Or is this what's driving? This can't be what's driving the output. Sense current IS, which is proportional to the main current R2 receives current coming from the FB pin. The voltage across R2 is then compared to a fixed reference voltage. MOSFET is switched off when the following equation is reached. So R2 times IS plus IFB is equal to 0.23 volts. Huh. Weird. So yeah, it's a brownout detector basically, or the opposite of one. I can't figure out which. It depends on how you have it configured, I guess. 300 volts. Why are they just like, hey, why don't you go mess around with like hundreds of volts? You want a test circuit? Here's your fucking test circuit. Hook it up to a bunch of like power lines. Like, wait, man, that seems like less than an ideal way to test this thing. So yeah, I guess we are a brownout detector. We're looking for low current. I guess this thing might be dictating what happens with the rest of this stuff. Cool. Well, we found that very quickly. Let's go back to the circuit board itself and just see some of the other stuff. Poke around at some of the other stuff going on here. Why is it like all the way in the corner? The Viper. Wait, where was that? That was here? That's this guy. And it is switching. I guess it is switching the big boy, huh? Well, the big boy comes in all the way up top. It comes in all the way up here. Where's the big boy come in? Oh, it's still soldered in. Yeah, here's the big boy. This is the big negative terminal. It goes through a bunch of fuses where it then goes through, well, a lot of different stuff it looks like at this point. But I'm following these high current traces here. Wait, that's negative from the battery, though. Where's the other terminal from? Well, that comes in at the FETs. Both of the transformer terminals come in here. So one terminal of the transformer is connected to power, and then the other one is connected. Wait, but there's two terminals that come out of the thing connected to the thing. What the hell is happening here? Is that a center tap? What is that? What the heck? I've been bamboozled. Oh, interesting. That looks like it's... What's up? How's it going? This seems like it's ready to break, even though it shouldn't have been flexed very much. I wonder if maybe that's part of the problem. Because this feels like the wire is about to separate out. That or it's just the only flexible. But like this here requires a certain amount of force to flex, and this doesn't up here. Huh. I don't think there was a break in the line, but I guess I can't rule it out. Well, there's one way to find out, and that would be with the multimeter. So if I I know nothing about this transformer, but if I take ohms and I go to the power terminal, and I guess just another terminal, maybe this one over here, I'll get the wildest electrical shock of my life. No. We get very low ohms, which is good. That means the coil's just connected to that. I guess it's switching through both of these in order to create the waves that it needs to create. So it's got power sitting on one terminal, like a center tap, and then it's got these two side taps that it uses to create everything else. So that's 0.7 ohms. Yeah, they're both 0.7 ohms. But if I flex this, does a bad thing happen? Not really, no. It went to 0.9 ohms, but I think that's just because of the positioning. I don't know. Probably not a break in that. It just seems like it's kind of close to it. All right, back with the electronics. So, where are we on this board? Well, we know there's a center tap. We know it's switching the two transistors, the two FETs, in order to create the power. So there's big heat sinks on it for when it's in operation. And then I guess these will go to that big ground terminal. So the power's coming in on the center tap and then out that other terminal. And that's what they're using in order to wiggle. They basically, the whole point of a transformer, what you're doing is you are creating AC, which, sorry, you're not creating AC. The whole point of the transformer is that you're putting power into it, and that power is going to put magnetic flux into that center, the iron center of the transformer, or whatever it is, you know, the block of the transformer, and then that magnetic field in the presence of a coil will induce a current on the other side. You can do 1-to-1 as a means by which to isolate something. You turn that electricity into magnetism and then back into electricity. But when you put more coils on one side than the other, you end up getting a higher voltage and lower current proportionally. This stuff is so predictable that we're able to do quite a bit with that. Are they using silkscreen layer to show solder bridging? Show solder bridging. I don't know why they do this sometimes with the silkscreen layer. I actually don't know what this is about. Perhaps it is for inspection. Just to make sure that nothing is bridged. You look to see that all your little check marks are good. You see it a lot when they have like a circuit board hanging off of another circuit board. What is this for? It's for the chip. I think it's for the chip. Let's find out what chip that is. Maybe they'll say something about that in the data sheet. Where's it? Where's the chip? Where did it go? There it is. Looks like it's an op amp. LM324N. They really like a ST Micro. LM324N, I believe, is an op amp. Damn it! LM3324N. Low power, low input bias current. Or independent high gain operational amplifiers with frequency compensation, blah, 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 blah. So this is part of the like instrumentation of measuring the voltages and the currents that are going around. Part of the information that you get on the screen, right? Where's my video window? There it is, sorry. So op amps that are probably doing something or other with the different features of the power supply. I don't know, man. I'd have to map out the circuit in order to figure out exactly what it's doing. But I mean, this thing does a lot of sensing. It looks at the AC waves that are coming in and makes sure that they're okay, and displays on the screen how, you know, what you're doing with the AC. I don't know what it's doing. I don't want to get into hardcore circuit analysis right now. You know, I'm kind of just looking to see if anything is broken. All right, everyone's a critic. Everyone's a critic. There was another chip on here. It's all the way out here towards the USB. It's another op amp. Okay. All right, well, we know that now. We know that now. I have nothing resembling a date code. As close as we get is 1228. So this could be a device from 2012. which is when that circuit board was made, not necessarily the entire device. This is a Zener diode. So yeah, when I said 2013, I guess I was close. Clock, data, VDD, reset, VPP. Looks like those jumpers you could probably use if you really wanted to try to get like a hex file from that microcontroller. What's up, Pseudo? There's some discoloration by these resistors, meaning at some point they probably got a little bit warm. This is the closest thing that we've seen to actual wear on this circuit board. This is the closest we've gotten, is this stuff right here. Slightly discolored circuit board material. Probably some Wheatstone. Oh no, it's part of these op amps, I'm guessing. Something like a unity gain or something like that. There's even a serial port on this thing. That's how old it is. There's your buzzer. Bane of my existence is buzzers like that. We got some kind of a FET that's been wrapped in shrink wrap to keep it from actually making a connection with any of its buddies in the area. What else? What else? Not a whole lot. I mean, this thing is looking pretty rudimentary. For all the craziness that this thing brings to the table, all the complexity of what it does, it seems like it's working on some fairly simple principles. Aside from, you know, there's measurement stuff in here too. So what it is basically you have a transformer with a center tap that goes to your power. Then you have these two banks of FETs that are switched to ground. And so if you control that with the center tap and you wiggle the current in them by activating and deactivating the MOSFETs at particular times, you will then induce a current in the other end. And so that current then is put back into the board and it is filtered and it is made into 120 volts for your devices. I thought it was an actual serial port. What does it say on the back? Where's the back? The back's on the floor. Dang it. We'll never know. We'll never know. Apart from that, I mean, I suppose there are relays here that are activating and deactivating the parts of the power supply. So if your power goes out, these things, I guess, will isolate the what is it? Isolate out the part of the plug strip that isn't on the battery backup. So, got my stereo board working, painstakingly checked resistance of every node to only find out that the problem was a cracked trace. Ah! Listening to the stream through the stereo. Oh, there you go. Tons of hum and buzz that will be fixed with the recap. Hum and buzz. Okay, 12-volt fan connecting all the way over at the 12-volt section. Got 4 relays on this thing. Don't know precisely what the relays are doing. I believe they are just turning on the AC banks. These shouldn't be able to handle that much current, though. 12 amps at 250 AC. Okay, maybe they can. Perhaps they can. I would have to assume that the new one that I bought is probably running on about the same technology that this one is. Only they've changed up the ports because nobody has a serial port anymore. There's a good DB connector over there, though. DB9? Yeah. DB9. DB connectors are not going anywhere, folks. We're going to have those around for a long time. I don't see any damaged capacitors. All I see is just a little bit of heat wear on the circuit board in one corner. You'd think there would be kind of a smoking gun on this thing because it did go wrong. It went very wrong. It's possible that the microcontroller just went to the silly side of things and just decided it was done. We'll never know. Or, you know, a capacitor could have gone bad internally. I need that DB9 port. You should be able to, like, look under a couch and find one. They're fairly common. I guess not so much anymore, but DB connectors are like, they're not going anywhere. There's a full bridge rectifier over here. So I guess we are taking AC in and making DC. It's probably part of the power supply to the board. Because you need that DC to run all your electronics. Is that a jumper? Oh no, it's a big diode. A big diode. Is that a 7805? No. Oh my God. It's a 7815. I looked under the couch. I found a used test strip. God, I used to be inundated with those things. Look, we have an L series voltage regulator. ST Microelectronics again. Have you verified that the batteries are okay? No. Nah, this is first blush with the thing. I don't understand how the batteries could have caused it to go crazy like it did. You know, turning on and off and on and off. Even with no load on, I tried to turn it on and it just like, the screen went blank. So, what's up, RYG? 7815. I mean, I guess it's okay in this device, but here, let's look it up real quick. L7815. Power management IC. So this thing is your standard. This again, due to the era of electronics by which I herald, when I cut my teeth learning about all the electronics stuff, this was the way that you were getting power, was with a 7805. 15 is a slightly different one. 7805 is a 5-volt regulator, and so you can put a lot of volts into it, and it is a linear regulator. So that means that it is primarily converting all the extra current into heat. And so if you have the need to turn, for instance, 12 volts into 5 volts, you can put it through a 7815, and it'll be able to provide you with almost 2 amps of current at 5 volts, which is great for starting out electronics. But then you become a little over-reliant on it, and every time I see one in a product, I cringe a little bit. They're okay. I mean, they're really good at what they do, the 7805. 7805AB, view all. Oh, that's related, yeah. Data sheets, L78. But, I mean, nowadays we've got all kinds of more advanced power going on. Does it trickle charge the battery? I would assume so, yeah, it does. I mean, I haven't found much of a battery management IC on this thing. What did I just hear? Just heard a door close. Does it mean puppy's coming down here? No, I don't hear. When Willow comes down the stairs, it's like thud, 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 thud. Because she does the full like front paws going down each step. So I don't know what's going on. If she's allowed to come down here, but the door is closed just because I'm down here yelling at the furniture. Anyway, I cringe a little bit. Yeah, they're cheap and low noise, and they're good at what they do, but they waste power. What do you hear? You hear weird jumping upstairs. Is there a possibility of a puppy coming down here? Where's my puppy? I don't know what's going on. But you find them, I mean, you find them in a lot of consumer products too, but it's like so wasteful. Like if you have a battery operated device that has a 7805 on it, you're dumping a lot of that battery power into heat. Yeah, a low dropout or a linear regulator is better technology, and if you're gonna be working in the circuit realm and you need 5-volt regulators, there's a lot of options now that are much better with their power. This, however, is a device that is plugged into the wall. So, I mean, if you're plugging your device into the wall, and then also you can function natively at 5 volts for a lot of projects too. You can just have a wall wart that's doing all of that voltage regulation, even though it's fairly inefficient at it. Or you could plug in like an Apple. I think the Apple charger is a little bit more efficient. You know, it depends. Sometimes it's just a transformer with capacitors creating 5 volts. We had a problem with my desk setup. My desk setup has like rack panels under it, or it had that previously, and I had a fan panel on the thing, and it was operating really weird. Like the lighting wouldn't come on quite right, or it would just act psycho, right? There's weird psychotic activity out of my fan setup. And so we took it apart and we looked at the circuit that I built for the thing, and everything was fine. Everything looked totally fine. So I put it back into my desk, and it's messed up again. And I hear a squelching coming from behind my desk. Well, it turns out the wall wart, all of the capacitors exploded, and all of the capacitor juice was all over the internals of that power supply. And so it was creating a weird floating ground out of all of that. Very, very, very strange behavior. And it was scary too, because I didn't know that the wall wart had internally exploded. Usually those things are just good to go. You just plug them in and they're fine. Because you can't get into them. They're all plastic welded together. So that was a scary little disassembly. I think I still have the parts of it somewhere around here. I keep tripping over it. I think I might have finally thrown it away. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it immediately. Okay, anyway. I don't see many signs of this thing having gone dead. Again, you know, big heatsink block on the 7805 equivalent, which is, I don't know. I don't like that. You can go to like Pololu and get like a much more advanced voltage regulator. I guess it's fine for this purposes, and especially in 2012, it probably was okay. This thing was probably designed well before that too, and they're probably just doing small revisions on their design for each subsequent product. So I guess it's okay. You know, you get a lot of 5 volts out of that thing, and that'll help you run your screen. It'll help you run all kinds of. Hey, this is looking like something that I could possibly use. This looks like just a generic. Well, current displays and stuff like that, I don't know if I have too much use for. But it's possible. I wonder if we can find anything out about this. PDO 50903CT. Let me look that up. Let me look that up. P-D05 P-D05090. Chevy. Okay. DP. Uh-oh. CT. Yeah. We've broken Google. That's probably a proprietary product, huh? Yeah, LCD modules are kind of the most difficult thing to find. This just seems like it's this looks like you know, those like LCD character displays. That's what it looks like to me. And I'm wondering if that might be what the pinout is, because it's possible that there's some configuration stuff going on over here. It really does resemble your typical LCD display with like a configuration. Here, I'll get one. That's an example. What did I do with my LCDs? What did I do? I think I put them in a bin. They were getting in the way. I had a thing that was full of them. We haven't really put a display on a project in a long time, have we? You'd think you'd be doing that more in this hobby, but it doesn't appear to be the case. Not with me. Not with my special skills. Where is it? There's that drawer that I always run into. It's whenever I'm actually looking for it, it like hides. It like runs and hides. The thing you're actually looking for, just nowhere to be found. Everything else is in the way. When I'm not looking for it, it's always front and center. Front and center. Okay, let's see. Oh, there it is. It actually was kind of front and center. All right, so yeah, typical LCD modules. The ones that I keep around are the VFD LCD modules, and we're putting one in Burn the Subs. So Burn the Subs is going to feature one of these beautiful VFDs. Noritake e-tron. Noritake e-tron. They're a Japanese company, and they make these really awesome displays. If you've got a project that needs a display and you want it to be really special, I'm telling you, look for the VFD displays. You can get them on like eBay. You can get them new if you want, and you can do a bunch with them. But it makes for a very nice looking display. It's also a little bit fragile because you have to have like glass tubes type stuff in your setup. But I really love them. They've got a great look. And then you can put an almost, you can put a almost opaque piece of plastic over it, and you can see the characters still, and they look very nice. Not cheap. Yeah, those are not cheap. So here's a typical LCD module, right? Yeah, 40 on AliExpress. Bit more if you want to buy them from a slightly more reliable source, I guess. They're still from Noritake, the ones on Ollie, right? Better be. I love that company. They make very pretty things. Typical LCD display. Once again, this microscope is a little bit too close. Can I actually, like... Yeah, we can get a little bit less claustrophobic like this. There we go. Just a little, just so I can at least show you guys. LCD module. This is a character display. Basically, it has an LED backlight on one end, and then a whole bunch of pins in order to send it the data that it needs. You can just get an Arduino library that will run one of these things with all of these pins, or you can get a module that you put on the back of these things that will convert it over to I2C. Some of them also natively do I2C. It depends on what they have configured here. This one has way too many chips on it for some reason. A lot of chips going on the outside there, but if you look them up, they take sort of a typical form. You can bit bang it if you're insane, yeah. Some of them allow you to control the backlight brightness. Others will require you to put resistors in there in order to configure what the outputs are and what the backlighting is. This one, I don't really know a whole lot about. Probably look it up. It's about as old as the power supply. Neat. I don't find a ton of uses for these things in my day-to-day. It is cool to have a project that can actually communicate something back to you on a display, though. So, like, a lot of these resistors that are on the backs of these things, the ones that have just one bubble chip on it, those are there for configuration. So you can actually flip it over to I2C if you want, or you can put it into like a Japanese character set. This one really resembles those, and I don't have the ones that resemble this to show you guys. I don't know what happened. I thought I had a more common LCD display, but this really speaks to me of one of those LCD displays, because we've got the one singular epoxy top on the back of the board, and then you have a bank of resistors that has one diode and a capacitor on the back of the thing. I feel like some of these are configuration. Let's look up like an LCD module datasheet. Look up like an LCD datasheet, just a generic one. So LCD datasheet. That's a little bit of a broad search, but 16 by 2 is the layout of the characters on it. This would be your typical LCD display like that. I've actually, it's circled around the dial. I used to think things with LCDs like that were super duper cheap, but nowadays my opinions on it have been totally tossed on their head. I now think that something with an LCD display like this that allows you to control stuff in a particular way is some kind of boutique, expensive, special product. It's interesting what touchscreens have done to us over the years. Dot matrix VFD. Yeah, Noritake does those too. Their website is like straight from 1992. Products. Actually, I think they redesigned recently. Wide temperature display modules. That's just their normal stuff. But yeah, these are the ones that I'm talking about. And there are ones that do like dots. Like this. Look at that, it's a picture of plants. My goodness. But yeah, these have a special look to them. If I'm putting a display in something and I don't need color, I'm looking at these things because they're so cool. They look so good. The bar tap that we made has one of these in it, and we need to kind of refurbish that project soon. My bar tap and fridge down here is kind of sat for a long time. But the Fermentrack project supports a 16 by 4 character display. So we got a 16 by 4 one of these and put it into the bar tap. So it looks kind of cool. They do generate a little bit of heat though. Yeah, they're magic. They are. Running one is difficult, and I've got VFD vacuum tubes that we need to put into a project sometime. So yeah, typically with an LCD display, like the typical project LCD display, it's gonna look like this. Got a big row of pins on the top of it. Those have ridiculous functions: D0, D1, D2, 3, 4, 5, LED anode and cathode. What is RS read write, and then E. So it's I guess a shift register powering this thing. I don't really like the powering these things with or sorry, I don't like running these displays using all of these inputs. I think it's super wasteful. I usually will put something on there that makes it I2C and then just control it with I2C. But you can look up how to hook one of these things up to like an Arduino, and it'll give you everything you need to know, and all the code is right there. Bop, 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 bop. It's okay. It's okay if you don't understand the function of all the pins. It's the interface IC. Oh my goodness. Nice little tutorial. So some of the physical LCD, you know, the circuit boards, they'll have resistors and stuff where you can actually change it to, yeah, for instance, accept serial or I2C just natively. You can also buy a little circuit board that you'd solder onto the back that makes it into I2C. But let's see, that's not the type that they explained there. LCD module. I'm looking for that type because I want to know those resistors and stuff. There's all the mechanicals. They don't reference any components on the back side. How to adjust contrast. There's the character set. Oh my god. That's all the programming stuff. Yep, there's the character set. You have English and Japanese, I guess, on the same table. The A zone and the B zone. I don't see nothing. Yeah, maybe I'll try that one. 16LF. Here, let me cut and paste that. Maybe that'll have what I'm looking for, because that's what I'm recognizing in the back of this thing. Microchip? Oh, that's not the right thing. There's a driver library. Oh, that's different. This is a totally different module. That's neat looking though. I like that. I like my Noratake ones though. I think they're easier to read. This looks like you would definitely need to put something on the front of it in order to give a little bit of contrast. Out of an old fruit machine. Was the machine? It was a brand new machine. Just the fruit in it was supposed to be old. No, I'm looking for 16 by 2 LCD, and I'm just looking for the back side of it. Because that type allows you to mess with configurations using those resistors. And unfortunately, a search, there's one of the modules, by the way, a search for the backside of an LCD display is not exactly the most fruitful thing. Nobody's out here taking pictures of the opposite end of their LCD. Maybe we'll just do LCD configuration resistor. We're not going to find a Google Images of it. Yeah, a layer of window tint, just to give you a little contrast. The modern internet, 500 fucking pop-ups. I thought we were done with pop-ups. Weren't we done with pop-ups for a while? And then I guess JavaScript got involved. We had a nice little time there. Nice little window of no pop-up windows. At least the unrelated pop under window is dead. Yeah, exactly. Do you want cookies, or would you rather not be on this website? And it's like, oh, all right, bye. Arduino, blah, 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 Arduino. Blessing and a curse, the Arduino. The fact that everybody now is working with this level of electronics is a fundamentally good thing about the Arduino. However, if you're trying to get out of Arduino level technology, things get harder to find because the Arduino has pretty much taken over. That said, I'm generally wildly positive about the advent of that chip. Powerful floodlights with built-in intelligent fog detect. No. 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 Wiring a character LCD. I don't know why this is so hard for me to find today. I don't know why I'm having this difficulty, but it's bugging me because it's like one of those like gut feeling kind of things where you have all of these pins going into this thing and then you have these resistors sitting over here. That speaks to me. That tells me this is a configurable common character LCD that's running a specialty screen made for a backup power supply. Display you use, I kind of want to use on my GoTech drive to display what drive it is, but it's got a feeling yours takes a bit more current than the OLED I use now. Yeah. Yeah, what was cool is that we took apart my one-drop glucose meter, right? My one-drop glucose meter has this SSD 1306 OLED display. Turns out this display is extremely well known and it's in a lot of stuff. Anything with a tiny little OLED display, this is the same one that you can hook up to a keyboard that's using whatever it's called, that keyboard stuff that I need to get back to doing. You can hook that up, you know, this specific display is like, it hooks up via I2C and it's extremely known. From my glucose meter all the way to the mouse that I was using at the time was the Rival 500, and it had one of these things stashed in it just right over there. So you could, I guess, so you could know what configuration you switched to. I basically took the software and I drew a little penis, and then that just displayed on the OLED display on the side of the mouse in perpetuity. Yeah, I just keep that next to the desk because if I ever want to put like a screen in something, that's kind of a good one to use. And it's right there. I could solder to the thing, and yeah. Yeah, it was not necessary for the mouse. I mean, unless I was like going to esports tournaments and I had configurations specifically for different games, I don't see that as being useful. Why do I feel weird? Why do I feel weird? Hold on. That's why I feel weird. Look at that. Look at that lump. I guess it's coming down now. It did all its little microbolusing magic, and now the stuff in my belly is processing. I had a bit of like tuna salad, which is a real big mistake before you broadcast, because it leads to heartburn. For some reason, people decided that fish was best if you added a shit ton of fat to it. Penis int. Well, you get what you get. One's easier to draw, I guess. Live internal readout. Yeah. What's even funnier is that you guys could just go to this website and see it. There's no, I mean, like it only displays, right? It's not like you can control anything, but you guys can just go to see. I didn't know when I was naming the Heroku app that this would be the name of it, because otherwise I would have put like my name in there or something. But CGM Databot is me. That's Obother. So if you go literally to cgmdatabot.herokuapp.com, you can just pull this up. And that's what I tried to tell my doctor, and they were putting www in front of it and getting all the wrong stuff. I had to teach them the ways of entering things into a web page. It's not that I didn't get what you said. Yeah, www.http. All right. So we weren't exactly doing a reverse engineering. This is more of an autopsy. We're trying to figure out how this thing works, why it works, what it work, what do, what has, what is, what are, how die. We didn't really get how die. We didn't really get to see what killed this thing in Minecraft. I mean, I guess I can look. That's creepy. What, pulling up my glucose levels for this person you have nothing to do with? Seeing all of my treatments that are going on while I'm talking to you in real time. It looks like I could have upgraded this to a higher power model by putting another MOSFET in there. Neat. That would be one of the fun things that you could do with this, is just go and buy another one of each of these FETs and just put another one right there. Oh God, the amount of like, the lack of tact that people have around diabetics is ridiculous. My sister-in-law is a medical professional that works with diabetics, and I showed her the app and she said, you should bring that glucose level down. I'm like, you should shut the hell up. Like, it's like, maybe I didn't come to you for medical advice. I was showing you something. It's so rude. Oh, we're all wibbly today. Okay. One of them was actually spaghetti, but that was a little while ago. PTC or NTC, it has MOVs. It has MOVs peppered throughout the entire thing. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. Yeah, those will be useful MOVs, although I have a drawer that's full of them, though. I already have all the MOVs that I think I'm ever going to need. So if you want to hook this up, you get a random number generator from your microcontroller, and you get a little BJT semiconductor on this thing, and then you trigger it at a random interval. And you have your microcontroller go into a low power mode until the timer expires. And then you throw this into somebody's closet or under their bed, and it'll just beep every now and then. And you can watch the degradation of the mental stability of the person whose closet you've thrown that into. This is the only outward sign that anything has happened here, is just a little bit of scorching on whatever that probably Wheatstone bridge is, and we can see a little evidence of it at the bottom too. It does kind of this looks to me like a Wheatstone bridge. One of the aspects of this power supply is that it is measuring the amount of power in several different ways, power and current. So we have operational amplifiers here. It would make sense to have something like a Wheatstone bridge here, because you do a Wheatstone bridge and that would figure out, like, for instance, I don't know, how much voltage is at something, and then it would relay it to the microcontroller, I guess. I don't know. Throw it behind a light switch? Oh, God. Drywall, no! That's, you just, yeah. Oh, that would be a funny prank if you just hauled off and fucking punched them. Like, it's supposed to be haha silly prank. I'm not like fucking like, it would be funny if you threw them off of a bridge. Like, you're escalating way too hard. Make them remove drywall. Jesus. Read a story of one dropped in a car. A buddy of mine put one in the van for another friend's drive back from a festival that was like a couple hours away. I think it was like way up at the top of New York State, and we were going all the way back to Philly. And so he throws it in just right behind the driver's seat. And when we got there, he gets it out and mentions it. And they were like, "You son of a bitch!" That's what that was. That's what you do. That's how you handle a prank, is you let it go on, but then you tell them that it's over, and you tell them what happened, and everybody can have a good laugh about how insane you went when you were considering murdering somebody over a beep. That's just dust. That's dust because there's a fan right here. So that fan created a bunch of dust in this area. Doesn't appear to be the reason why the power supply went defunct. Now I could sit here and I can go part for part and you know, measure the dropout of the diodes and stuff like that, the V drop of the diodes, and try to figure out what exactly is wrong. I have a working power supply sitting behind me. I'm about to shut down my whole system and put it into service now, because I don't know if there's too much that I can glean from here. It might be a matter of just replacing the batteries. It might actually, the weird power symptoms that I was getting could just indicate that it was time for the batteries, since they've been in here since 2012. That's unfortunate. I was really hoping that there would be something a little bit more demonstrably wrong with the electronics inside of this thing. Something that would give us an idea of how this thing precisely failed. But it seems like the usual suspects in this case. There's no, I mean, apart from right here, there's no other signs of the circuit being angry at me. And it could also be, I mean, there's a possibility that something in the microcontroller just went, you know, tits up. The microcontroller just decided to die. That happened to my multimeter before, my Fluke multimeter. What's so great about Fluke multimeters when you can buy these multimeters that have 10,000 functions in them? Well, first of all, I can drop this down a flight of stairs and it'll be perfectly fine. All of this rubberized stuff is extremely durable. That's one advantage of the Fluke multimeter. What's the other advantage of the Fluke multimeter? Well, when this meter went bad, I took it apart and I determined that the microcontroller, like a sunspot, put a proton into the microcontroller and it knocked a 1 into a 0 and then the thing stopped functioning, right? Something weird like that. So the microcontroller was bad. I threw out the circuit board. I went on eBay. I bought a Fluke 179 that had been in a fire. It had melting and scorching all over the outside. Take the circuit board out of that, in good shape, pop it into here. This thing works now, and it's maybe just a little bit out of calibration. I'd have to send it back to Fluke. I bought one of those multimeter calibrators, the thing that generates like 1,000 volts for you to, not 1,000, but it's like, it creates like, it creates like 1,000 volts on one of the pins, and you can calibrate your multimeter with it. I didn't really do much with it. It just showed me that it's off by just like a tiny little bit. So it's all within the range of what I would be expecting to measure. Yeah, that's why I got the meter that I got, because I could just chuck it around and it'll survive whatever I throw at it. I don't remember how I got on the subject. But, oh, that's how I got on the subject. Sometimes the microcontroller can just go bad. Maybe that's what happened to this one. That's like asking what's the advantage of a DSLR when I have an iPhone. Well, people don't know that. Like the Fluke 179 functionally is not going to get you very much further away from a cheap multimeter, right? Jacose, oh my God, dude, how's it going? Why are these slow? I think I need to get off Streamlabs. Jacose, good to see you, my friend. Subbing with a Prime for 38 months. That is a lot of months. Those month numbers are getting up there. No, but people don't like see that with this kind of test equipment. You can go on Alibaba, you can buy a multimeter. It will be made out of cheap plastic, and you will sit here and you will use it and it will function. It'll do great. You'll get all kinds of good readings and stuff from it, and you'll be able to further, you know, your plunge into the depths of this hobby. You could even get cheap ones that have like oscilloscope functionality, which I got to tell you, that sounds extremely useful. And I should probably look and buy one of those that have the oscilloscope on it, so that if I'm remote, I can still have an O-scope, because an O-scope gives you a picture of what's going on in a circuit that you just can't get with a normal multimeter. But again, if you're on site, or if you just need something that always works no matter what, it's like hundreds of extra dollars, but something like a Fluke multimeter will just work. So anyway, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for it just working. You're paying for this thing being able to take like legitimate abuse. I chuck this thing around the engine bay of my car and it's totally fine with it. But again, I should probably find one that has that oscilloscope functionality, because I had to drag the whole oscilloscope out to the garage in order to do some of the digital testing that I wanted to do with the ABS system. I have a cheap one that is number 2 on all the dials. Oh yeah, that's the other part of it. Broken. This is labeled as broken from where I got it from, and I didn't fix it. It just works. It just worked. I don't know. It wasn't really broken. I think the buzzer on it was, the beeper on it was broken, which I've since replaced from the Fire Fluke. Number 2 on all the dials. Anti-theft. Yeah, it is actually. When it works, you know it ain't a fluke. Is that like they're saying? Get an AVO and blow the circuit you're measuring into next week. 121 gigawatts. wait, that's Back to the Future. What is, wait, that's a movie reference. What is that? I want to see what's available. Let's, hold on. AliExpress, which I guess styles themselves as like a fashion company now, because that's all they show. Oh, the EEV blog meter? I've never seen it. What is it called? 121 gigawatts. Woof. Looks like it does a lot. I guess they decided to make their own, huh? It's a little too short. I don't like how small it is. Ali shows what you're usually looking at. I don't look at coats on Alibaba, or headphones, or SD cards, or coffee machines. Designed it in concert with Brian. That's pretty cool. $32. And you get this? What the fuck? I looked at a single bearing and now 95% of what I see is bearings. Oh no. Does that mean that all I'm going to see in perpetuity is multimeters? Hey, I see you're a big fan of multimeters and you're not just trying to buy one and move on with your life. $32 for all this is ridiculous. I wonder how it'll die. Twice as good as the $15 deals. Yeah, they're wild. They're absolutely wild these days. That one looks cool. That's $70 though. Here are the Flukes. Fluke digital multimeter. That one actually might be legit. So you like the multimeters. Let's meter the multimeter meter. The multimeter meter. The multimeter. That one's a graphing calculator. Well, that one hooks up to your phone. There's no way in hell that I'm going to allow a product that comes from Alibaba to do anything on my phone. At all. Absolutely not. That's out of the question. Hey, download our app. It's just, the last time I did, it was for the lights that I use, the GVM lights, which were actually the GVM lights I saw on Tiger King. They were having a birthday party for a monkey in one scene, and they had the Good Video Maker lights. Like, I don't want to have anything in common with Tiger King's production. The Good Video Maker lights were like, you can install our app in order to remotely control our lights. That's like, okay, cool. Let's install that app. And then how do we control the light now? Do we have to register the light on Wi-Fi? Oh, no. You connect to the light as the sole provider of Wi-Fi. So you take your phone offline and then connect it to the light. Somebody reverse engineered the app that they provided in order to do that, and it turns out it whitelisted a Chinese email server that is known for propaganda. So there's no way in hell that I'm allowing anything that I purchase off of Alibaba anywhere near my phone. No. That's just straight up a digital multi. That's a no scope. Multiple measurements. Well, it looks like there's not an incredible amount of choices. If I do multimeter oscilloscope, this is where I'll get everything. Yes. $200 unis, but you get multiple channels? Probably a little bit better of an analysis view. Oh, but it looks terrible. It looks like it was designed for like space in like the 60s. Wait, this thing does spectrum analysis. It does frequency counting. It does logic, sort of. I don't really think you haven't sold me. You haven't sold me on that. Note: channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4, channel 5. I guess there are inputs on the top of this thing, but I don't know. Maybe at some point I'm gonna throw $200 of your dollars at something like this, and we'll see what it's like. 120 bucks, and I get all that feature out of it. That's pretty nice. This would have been really good to have like a week ago when I was looking at my car. Knockoff Lego. My what you call it? So, oh wait, only 6 hours of power out of this thing? Oh boy. Oh, lithium battery. So I guess I could plug it into the car starter brick that I have. Yeah, that's exactly what they just they say down there. I kind of want to buy this. I don't know anything about it, but it seems like it would supplement me for times that I need an oscilloscope remotely, which is once in a blue moon. It's not a whole lot. Not a whole lot of opportunities, but maybe we can get it and see what it's like. Mess around with it a little bit. Yeah, the so my nephew got one of those knockoff Lego sets, and it seems like it's pretty well made. I don't know. Yeah, I wonder what they would, so like a reviewer, what their recommendations would be. Supplement our knowledge a little bit with stuff people already know. Or we could just do site Reddit handheld oscilloscope test. Good portable handheld. What are they going to say? They're going to say, hold on one sec. Yep. Put that over there until it's going to ask for like, it's going to like show my email. Yep, there it is. Oh, luckily I've made it stop showing my private email. All right. Fluke. I don't know anything. Fluke. Great. Wow, thanks. That's really helpful. I love it when somebody jumps in and says, I don't know. Gary, Tektronix THS. Yeah, the real stuff is great, but I'm looking for the cheap stuff. Isolated scope input, 600 volts. Oh, I see. They have a specific requirement for what they want. Fluke and Tektronix are the only brands I trust my life to. Oh boy. And you know, yeah, I'm not doing stuff like that where I'm looking at 675 volts. No, I'm good. I can get a stupid thing. I guess I would partially be trusting my life to it because I'd be using it to work on my anti-lock brake system, but I don't know. My butt hurts from sitting on the stool all day. Well, okay. We kind of ran out of stuff with the cyber power. You know, our cyber electricity is only slightly frazzled. It could be that the micro is just completely out of it, or it could be just naturally what happens to this thing when the batteries go bad. I don't know, because I expected, you know, usually we get a curveball out of these things, right? He's using probe leads as rock climbing equipment. Like the episode of Star Trek in Glorndon Core when the Romulans were actually on the planet and Geordi LaForge gets stuck in a cave because all the sets at Paramount were caves. And he makes climbing spikes with his phaser out of rocks. Geordi LaForge did this in a cave with a box of rocks. Anyway, my best theory right now is that the microcontroller's dead. In order to turn this thing back on, I would need to hook up a lot of connections that I don't really know where they go. I'd have to rely on the VOD. I think this thing is just going into the scrap pile. This especially, because there's some useful parts on here. I don't trust this thing to function, even if I give it new batteries, because of how sort of bananas pants on head crazy this thing was over the end of its life. It was, I have to explain, basically what would happen is when we would have a power event, like a surge or a brownout, this thing would try to activate and it would say, there's too much current, I'm not gonna back anything up, and turn everything off. Which it wasn't doing before with the same exact amount of electronics on the other end. In addition to that, well, that's because Glorndon Core was messing with nerve endings. Anyway, this guy right here, this was telling me that there was not that much stuff connected. And yet when it tried to run it, it died. So beyond that, what really kicked it off, because I was living with that for a little while, what really kicked it off was when finally this thing bit the big weenie in the sky. It just turned off. And so I came downstairs and the thing was dead. Actually, the way it happened was I took the dog for a walk and came back and my computer was off. I turned it back on and then I took the dog for another walk and came back and the computer was off. I got a new office chair, so static electricity wasn't uninstalling my AMD drivers anymore. So what was going on? I took a look at this thing, and everything seemed honky-dory. Later on that day, setup turns off. I try to turn this thing back on, it immediately turns off. No data on the screen. Try to turn it back on again, turns on, off, on, off. It was just like dying, and there was nothing on the screen. So that does not seem to me to be a problem with the batteries. Something else has gone kaput inside of this. How old is this thing? This thing is like 11 years old. Almost 11-year-old. Battery backup. Bought a new one. Now I got a new one. This one will not be used for burn the subs. I just can't trust it. I think maybe something went weird with the microcontroller. By all means, it shouldn't have, but I don't have any other indicator of something going wrong. I would have expected to see, you know, like something around the MOSFETs going bad. I also like how their MOSFET heatsink is just a big piece of metal. This is designed for temporary heating. You know, when this thing is backing up your stuff, it's only going to last tops like an hour. And especially if it's actually generating a lot of heat here from having to use the batteries in order to run your stuff, you're going to get something like 30 minutes out of it. So in 30 minutes, I guess you would soak this block with heat, but then after that, you don't have to worry about it because everything's off. That's kind of cool. That's kind of interesting. They don't need like a heat sink. They just, well, it is a heat sink, but you don't need a finned heat sink. There is a fan, so the transformer is going to get a little bit of cooling, and then you'll have some air convection going over the blocks, but you don't need to necessarily continually be bleeding heat out of these things because they're going to be used for 30 minutes. That's pretty cool. What is the arrow indicating? What is that pointing to? None of the electronics are scorched. Nothing is cracked. No capacitors are bulging. There are no bulgy wolgies ooh-woo on this board. I see nothing. Darn. You know, I was really hoping for like a really strongly smoking gun. Sad. It's sad, really. Cause of death is planned obsolescence. It was 2 minutes beyond their guarantee. Now, this thing has been running since 2012, and it's been running my computer desks for centuries. So, sad to see it go. Love to watch it leave. But yeah, nothing really apparently is wrong with it. Aside from also way less dust than I expected to find in a device that I've had since 2012. Far, far less dust than I expected. And I never cleaned this thing out. Pretty crazy. Yeah, rest in peace, Mr. UPS. Well, in the interest of keeping it one subject per stream, aside from us oogling test equipment that I can't afford right now, aside from oogling test equipment, this has run into another thing where I've just run out of stuff. I hate it when that happens, but I don't want to, you know, pull your guys' chain and like work on something circularly until I've done enough stream time. One thing I would like to try at some point is blocking off these tubes, filling them with water, and trying to bend them. But I think that's the subject for next year, right? We'll get into that next week. Did you check the voltage on the output of the current sense? No, I'm not. I didn't want to work on this thing while it was powered. We didn't know at the time that there are actually very few capacitors inside of this device. But this is a device what is designed specifically to create hundreds of volts in AC when there's no power going to it. So unhooking the batteries renders it more than moderately safe. So I think there's relatively little danger in this thing, but I don't really want to press my luck and probe around it while it's turned on. I don't like that prospect. What's the battery voltage at though? Because those supposedly were fully charged. We could check to see if these batteries are dead. I could also run them through a deep cycle with one of my battery maintainers and see if they'll come back to life. Let us see what voltage we get. Give me this. Give me this. Hey! You stop that. You give me this. That's how I talk to the dog. Is this your card? I think the batteries are dead. I think that's a little bit less than 48 volts, just by a hair. So do you think that when I tried to use the power switch to turn it on, if it were above 5 volts, it would turn on and operate, and below, it doesn't power? Yeah, it's a rival. It's a Microsoft mouse, essentially, is what the SteelSeries are. I got friggin' like Stockholm syndrome with the SteelSeries because their mice die. They just stop working. The previous mouse that I had, the scroll wheel actually machined away the mechanism for pressing the center button. So at a certain point, you'd press the center button, it would open 600 tabs because it was bouncing on its trigger point, because it had machined away the plastic material in scrolling. And yet I still buy them just because it's that Microsoft mouse shape. So yeah, this is our problem. The batteries are dead. Why didn't you guys tell me? I guess this unit could still function if I decided to get two of these, what is it, AN6? What is that size factor? Why am I reading the upside down one? I think they're AN6, right? There's a particular size to these. What's going on there? Is it like stuff leaking out, or is that just dust? It's just adhesive. So yeah, these are sealed, like, security system batteries. You can find them all over the place. Used to be able to go to Radio Shack and buy them, but we don't have those anymore. Probably Micro Center, I would guess, has them. I could order them online, and my poor delivery driver would have to huck a box full of batteries at my door, possibly breaking it. And then I could put this whole thing back together, and I would have a backup power supply. But I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I want to do that. Home Depot or Lowe's? Okay. Oh yeah, I would assume that the people who sell you the security system would probably have the security system battery. Well, thank you guys for the follows. I guess we're not going as long this New Year's Day. I hope you guys have a good time out there, New Year's. Some of you are probably in the new year already. That'd be like Australia, and I have my cousin Ducart may not be in chat. He's probably in the new year at this point, I think. Is that how that works? Maybe. I don't know. I'm tired. Well, we didn't find anything wrong with the UPS. I've got a big chunk of metal sitting here now. I will be back next week. We'll work on cooling lasers for Burn the Subs, so we'll be bending some tubes. Bending some tubes. Oh no, that's this way. Yeah. Anyway, bending some tubes and seeing if we can't put something to get the heat out of our laser on our laser that involves water. And then we've got plenty of other stuff to do, you know, in the background of where I'm sitting right now. Yeah. Do you guys have flying cars? You have to tell us. You're legally required to tell us. Maybe I'll get a haircut this year. Nah. I'll be around, you guys. We had a lot of people in chat, people who stream, Flatulent Gonad, Murder Bits, a bunch of people out there. I'm going to be kicking it on Discord after I play with the dog for a little bit. Kicking it on Discord. Yeah, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all you guys. I hope you have a good year this year. I had a good year this year. I think we did a lot of cool stuff in the shop, and we've got a lot of follow-ups to do. 2023 is going to be the year of completing stuff. I think I said that about 22, though. I need to move my stream computer into there. That's one of the projects that I've been meaning to do for a long time. We got to water cool everything. We got to put Burn the Subs back together. We have a lot of stuff to work on, so we're going to get into that next week. All right, anyway, I'm prolonging it. Here's the end card. End card. That has all the Discord and the Twitter stuff, if Twitter's still around in 2023, who knows? And oh yeah, hey. Oh yeah, Last Miles streams too. Check it out. That's actually a good stream. Okay, anyway, see you guys later.